All right. Why do you still support Trump?
Yeah, because there's a sound argument in favor of the proposition that Donald Trump is superior to relevant alternatives.
Ooh, we got a little debate, bro. That's cute. And how is he superior to relevant alternatives?
I think that some of his positions, at least like the ones in favor of reducing the number of elective abortions,
I'm
and the
sorry. You're gonna
ones
have to
when it
speak
comes to
more
trans.
clearly if you're gonna try to
Oh,
use
sorry.
actual
Yeah,
debate tactics. We
I
don't
would
have
say that.
microphones here, so you're gonna have to speak
Yeah, I would
slowly,
say that
slower,
some of
and
his.
clearer.
I would say that some of his positions, like at least the ones in favor of reducing the number of elective abortions, and then also when it comes to like trans issues.
Awesome. Which
Um,
policy has he provided that reduces abortions?
well, I never made the claim that it was a policy, but I said that his position is in favor of reducing the number of elective abortions,
Positions ain't
and in
shit, but some
specific,
politician saying
and
something.
in
Which
specific, it
what
would be
thing
like
has he
Roe v.
done?
Wade.
Hold
Well,
on. What
Roe
thing
v.
has he?
Wade.
Hold on, sir. What position or policy has he done to reduce abortions? That's what I'm asking you.
Okay, the overturning of Roe v. Wade. As we can see, there's like a reduction in the number of abortions as opposed to the
Incorrect.
first 4 years of it. Well, as opposed to the first 4 years of it being put into place, because that's how we would make like a proper evaluation. We would compare the first
Okay.
4 years. So it's been 4 years, and then the first 4 years of it being put into place, we
Who
do that
decided that four
comparison.
years was the correct amount of term in order to decide that?
Because it would be unfair for us to determine between 4 years and 40 years, because the cardinality would be a lot larger in 40 years than 4 years. So you
Yeah,
obviously
but
have
we
a better
can't predict 40
evaluation.
years. Has the number of abortions since Donald Trump, since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, gone up or down in the same
Um,
amount of time?
we're only going to be in the same amount of time. So we're talking about 4 years after it was overturned. So we'd have to pick 4 years during the time
When was
of,
Roe v.
say,
Wade
Roe v.
overturned?
Wade. Uh, what was it, 2022, I believe?
2022, while Biden was president?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you want to try that again?
Yeah, when Biden was president.
Do you want to try that again?
Biden was president, but the overturning was the decision of Donald Trump, buddy.
I asked you what year Roe v. Wade was overturned.
2022. Yes, when it was Biden's first term. Not that he ever had a second term, but or was it
Mm-hmm.
2021?
All right, cool. So since 2022, it's been 4 years. Since the 4 years before then and the 4 years after then, were there
Oh,
more
that's not how
abortions
you
or?
do the comparison,
Oh, then how do
because
you
you're
do the
picking
comparison? Please
that's
explain to me how
completely
I should do my
arbitrary. Yeah,
comparison.
so that's going to be completely arbitrary. It's like picking out four
No,
years
no, don't
within
don't
the
say
given
it's
like 4 year
arbitrary.
time
No, no,
span.
sir.
Oh, of
I was
course it
doing.
is.
Oh, gotcha. So you're the one who said 4 years, and then after that, you're now telling me that your own standpoint is
No,
arbitrary
because there's 40 years of it being put into place, and you're picking out a specific 4 years in which it would be lower,
because
right?
those are the
And
only
then like
four
a
years we
consecutive 4 years.
have. So you're making an arbit. What you're doing is making an arbitrary argument, saying that
Nope,
within
that's not
40 years.
true.
Listen, you can't say it's not true. You don't. What was I getting ready to say?
Yeah, so what I was gonna say
No,
is,
no, no, no.
but
I
it's
didn't ask you
four
what you
years.
were getting ready to say. I asked you what I was getting ready to say.
Just go ahead and say it.
No, no, you told me it wasn't true. You cut me off to say that the statement that I was in the middle of saying wasn't true. So please go ahead and tell me what I was going to say.
So I guess like it would just be the case that I was not being arbitrary, because I'm referring to the 4 years after it was overturned. Now, in order to make a proper evaluation or a comparison between another 4 years, we wouldn't just pick an arbitrary 4 years within the 40 years, right? Or where it was like lower than the 4 years, from the overturning until now. We'd pick the first 4 years of it being put into place, right? And then we're going to do a comparison between those 2 points, because there's obviously psychological reactionary
None of that was
methods
what I was
that
going to say
apply.
at all.
Well, that's not what you were going to say. That's what I was going to
Then,
say, because I'm
but
much
you
smarter
told
than
me
you.
what I was saying was wrong. So you have to let me finish.
Because what you were saying was, because you
Listen
said I was
to
being
what
arbitrary.
I
How was
am
I being
saying.
arbitrary?
Shh.
Whoa, don't crash out now.
I'm not
It's all right.
crashing
Calm
out.
down.
Just be quiet, sir.
All right.
Don't tell me I'm wrong on something when
Well, I'm not
you
your
don't know
typical
what
MAGA
I was.
buddy.
No, you're actually kind of dumber. So can you let me finish
Oh,
what I was saying?
go ahead.
Awesome. When I am saying a point, don't tell me what I was saying is wrong if you're not going to listen to the point. That's all I asked. That's why I asked you to tell me what I was getting ready to say. And since you were telling me what I was going to say was wrong, then you need to tell me what I
What you
was
said
getting ready
was
to.
wrong, not what
Yeah,
you were getting ready.
yeah. No, 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 sir. I didn't say anything yet, so
Well, I
there's
was
nothing I
referring
could
to
have
what
said that was wrong. Okay.
I was referring
So
to what
I
you were.
would like to finish my point before you start saying that things are wrong, if that's okay with you. Is that all
All right,
right
go
with you,
ahead.
sir?
Can you stop wasting time and go ahead?
No, you're the only person that's wasting anyone's
Just
time,
stop
sir.
wasting time. Just say it,
S-
dude.
Sir, I will take as much sweet time as I want on my live. Do you have an issue with that? Because I can move on to the next person.
Just go, dude.
All right, I can just move on to the next person then. If you have an issue with how long I am taking to answer the question, I could have already answered it. Right. But what I was going to say, sir, is what you're doing is making an arbitrary position, because now you're saying that the reduction is over the amount of 40 years when it hasn't been 40 years. So under what number are you saying that there was a reduction? That's all I wanted to say. That's all I wanted to say. That was it. You see how easy it would have been to let me
All
finish
right.
my sentence?
All right. So,
No, no,
when
no, no.
I'm
I
saying,
asked you a question. I said, do you see how easy it would have been
yeah,
for
I
me to
see
let me
how
finish my
easy it
sentence?
was. Yep.
See, I have
Yep.
no problem letting you finish your point and you can let me finish my points. But if you're just going to try to cut me off every time I say 4 words, and there's no point in having this conversation. But let me ask you a bigger question. Okay. Let's just get this out of the way. Because you're saying, first of all, you said it was Donald Trump's policy on abortion. Then you immediately backtracked and said that Donald Trump didn't have any policy on abortion. Then you're saying it
I
was the
never said that he
overturning
had a
of,
policy.
then you said it was, yes, you did, sir. Then you were saying it's the
Wait,
overturning
do you
of
want to
Roe
bet on
versus
that? Do
Sir, cut me off
you want to
again.
bet on that?
Cut me off one more time. I promise you, there's already people waiting. So first you said it was a policy, and then I told you it wasn't a policy, and then you backtracked on there saying that it wasn't a policy, it was actually the overturning of Roe versus Wade. Then you said it was the overturning of Roe versus Wade under Biden, which didn't even happen under Donald Trump. And now you're saying that not only on top of both of those things, now I have to take an arbitrary position of something that happened over 40 years and saying that the amount of abortions increasing since the overturning of Roe versus Wade is invalid. And now you're saying that I have to, that the 40 years that it happened before, I can't take the 4 years of it increasing and making it as a valid point. Okay. Which is funny because you don't get to tell me what things I take as valid or what everybody else here watching takes as valid. Okay. You only get to decide what you take as valid. All right. But I have a better question for you, sir. Why do you care so much about Donald Trump's lack of policy and lack of Supreme Court ruling that made abortions go up? Why do you care?
Again, that's just going to be a pivot. Can we stick to substance?
Yeah, the substance is why do you care?
Why do I care? Because I value human life,
You do. What
and
makes a human?
the fact that it has a trajectory towards being a rational agent, which is true of both me and you.
Oh, so a trajectory is what causes it.
Well, it has future subjective experiences.
It has
I have
it
that. You
has
have
future.
that.
So does all semen. So should masturbation be illegal?
Oh, that's not true.
Oh, why not?
Because the semen does not, have like the probability of it having, future subjective
No,
experiences
no,
is
no,
going to be
no, no, no.
extremely small, and they would not
Hold.
be predicated on a choice. It would be predicated
Oh,
on
wait,
something
hold on. First of all, you just said that it has a trajectory. You did not give a probability of this of the trajectory, which means that you are
that
now
exceeds
backtracking.
0.5
You said that
credence.
anything that
Okay,
has a
you
trajectory,
got me. You
you
really
said
got
that
me there,
anything
buddy.
that,
You
sir, I
really
wasn't
got me
even
there,
done with
buddy.
my point. I'm sorry that you have self-control issues, sir. You said that anything that has a trajectory, okay, you value as life. So therefore, all eggs prior to them being implanted or prior to them being, inseminated, now all of a sudden have a trajectory. All semen has a trajectory. The second thing you said is that's predicated on choice. And I think that somebody's choice on whether or not they masturbate is also a choice, right? Those things are both choices. So why are you not trying to make masturbation illegal?
Because not every single sperm cell becomes a child
And
or
not every
has some
single
sort of
zygote becomes
probability,
a
credence,
child.
in favor. Not and does not have the probability favored and like the credence would not be in favor of it having a trajectory towards higher rationale. And
Sure,
then
awesome.
if
So
we
what
say
project so what percentage of implanted,
zero point
fertilized
zero,
eggs actually become
okay.
children?
Well, let's just set my arbitrary bounds. The arbitrary threshold would be 0.25 credence.
No, no, sir, I'm not asking your bounds. I asked you a question. Now answer it.
Okay, I just told you I have like 0.25 credence would be an arbitrary threshold in which I hold, and if it is the case that the zygote has a 0.25, at least like using inductive reasoning, then yeah, then I would
Sir, I
value
don't really need to
it.
hear your debate tactics, okay? They really bore
That's
me.
not a debate
Okay.
tactic.
No,
I'm just
sir,
giving
sir,
you
sir.
an
I'm asking you a
arbitrary
question.
threshold.
Answer the question. That's all I'm asking you to
Oh,
do.
you didn't ask me a question. Go ahead.
I did ask you a question twice, and
No,
I'm
you
gonna ask you a
didn't.
third time, okay?
Go ahead.
What percentage of implanted fetuses become living, adult human beings?
That's irrelevant.
I didn't ask you whether it was relevant. I asked you to answer the question.
How old are you? it's irrelevant, right,
74
for me to
years old.
ask you how. Well, yeah, but like it's obviously like irrelevant for me to ask you how old you are. So therefore, I'm not going to answer the question because it doesn't pertain to the
Okay, well
topic.
that's totally fine, sir. So I'll give you just two simple, easy choices. Either answer the question or get off the live. Okay.
Wait, can I ask a simple question? Why is it necessary that I answer that question?
I don't need to answer that. It's my live, and I asked you a question. I don't need to, sir. Your little Philbro arguments mean nothing to me. Your little Philbro arguments mean literally nothing to me. Okay. The answer to the question was about 25%. Yeah, about 25% of implanted fetuses actually fertilize and actually be, fully implant and become, and become babies. So therefore, your entire stance of the trajectory of a fetus means absolutely nothing and is completely gone. Well, sir, I'm sorry that you're in there saying that's not what I said. You totally could have said what you wanted to say, except for the fact that you chose not to answer my question and decide that my question was invalid. And I don't really care about that, sir. We are here to have a conversation, and that's my biggest problem is that so many of you people are not trying to have a conversation. Okay? So many of you people are trying to have a debate, and it's sad. Okay? This is my arbitrary number at 0.025 and this and that. Shut up. You're just setting your arbitrary number off of something that you think that you can back, and it sounds stupid. Okay? You sound like an idiot. Okay. You have no reasoning behind how Donald Trump's abortion policy actually affected anything because he didn't have an actual policy. Then you're saying that the Supreme Court didn't even do it underneath him. And then you're saying you don't even have a reason behind that abortion policy whatsoever. Everything that you fucking said is completely arbitrary and worthless. Okay. So whenever you decide to actually have an actual conversation like a human being, then we can have one. Until then, I don't really care. I knew there was a reason why somebody told you not to freaking let you up, and now I understand why. Hello, how are you?
Good. Why did you run?
Oh, I don't run, sir. I just only have conversations on my live. Why are you about to run?
No, you're going to drop me because with that
No, I'm
little
not going to
laugh.
drop you. I said, why are
That
you about to
little.
run?
Don't interrupt. I wasn't finished.
I'll interrupt all
Don't
I want on my
interrupt.
live.
Stop.
I'll interrupt all I
Stop.
want on my live. I asked
Stop.
you a question.
See? Your little gay laugh. Come on, boy.
Oh, are you hitting on me?
Listen.
Ooh, boy. Man,
Yeah.
the gay
Do
references.
you have a wife?
The gay
No, probably
references
not.
followed
Probably not, eh?
directly
Probably not, eh, buddy?
behind. Like, that's
Probably
pretty
not,
crazy.
eh? Come on, give that little laugh like you little
Are you
fag.
Canadian?
No, I'm not.
Why
Why are you
sound
stupid?
Canadian?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, I think he's Canadian. What do you guys think?
Great
He's
choice.
Maple MAGA.
Great
Isn't
choice.
that right, eh?
Great
Isn't that
choice.
right, eh? Yeah,
Good
he
choice.
Is. He is.
Are you
And,
going to debate or are you going to
It does
run?
make it. He
Are
could
you
be
going to run?
Albertan. Yeah.
Or
No,
are you going to run? Are you going to
So it
run?
does make it like really cute to
Are
me
you
when like,
going to run?
Maple MAGA comes up because
Are you going to
they
run?
like,
Are you going
they
to
think
run?
they're like people, like they matter. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, who's that Drewster?
Yeah. Oh, remove Alan contains
Run.
themes
Run.
that some might be uncomfortable with. If they
Run.
remain on your live will be unavailable to some
Oh, yeah.
audiences. Okay. Well, I have to remove you, sir. You're in violation of things. What are you going to do? I'll sit there and talk to you all day. I love talking to Maple MAGA. Imagine your life being so good in Canada that imagine your life being so good at Canada that you have to sit in there and scream at people in the US. You know what I'm saying? I guess all that universal healthcare is doing pretty good for you guys because you guys are just in there doing so awesome that you guys want to come down and talk shit on everybody else, you know? Maple MAGA is super weird, dude. They're super weird. Anyways, y'all, thank you guys so much for being here. Really appreciate you. We got a couple callers. We're vetting right now. We're gonna see if we can move on to the next person really, really quickly. If you guys like support, I do super chats, super stickers, pay links in the bio. A bunch of little jumping things that make you sleep. Sheep. I couldn't remember the name of the sheep. Janelle, thank you so much for the 600 jewels. I really appreciate that. 600 jewels. The picnic basket. I did see it out there. That was a cool little gift. And Feisty, thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships too. I really, really appreciate you with that. W's the chat for Feisty and Janelle. And for and we see Zoybean and somebody just sent a whole bunch of those. Hoodie Girl, thank you so much for all those jumping little sheep over there. We got, like I said, we got somebody in the queue. I'm just waiting on one of my screeners to let me know if they're good to come up, and we're gonna keep this thing going. But I really appreciate you guys being here. You guys are being absolutely awesome. Cool, Priscilla. If you're still here, I will hit him up. Vicky, I hope everything is okay over there. And hopefully we can get somebody up here pretty soon. Sorry, we're having a little bit of a delay. We're getting there, y'all. Hey, oh, who's this person? Hold on, we might have somebody in here. This person tried to come up earlier. Maybe they're ready to go.
They're ready.
Hello, how are you?
I bet you can't tell me how to define a woman without including men. Just your rhetoric tells me that you can't. You're probably going to insult me, get mad, and boo. So pick which one.
That's a very interesting answer to hello, how are you?
There you go. So you can't define what a woman is without including men or males?
Sorry, I just said hello, how are you?
So you can't define what a woman is without including men or males. Why is it all you guys can't define what a woman is?
No, I just don't have conversations between people unless people can act like
Yeah,
an
your
adult
ideology
human
looks
being to
bad,
go,
let it out,
hello,
right?
how are
Letting
you?
that ideology out that you want trans women in women's shelters and spaces where they go to get away
Well,
from
sir,
men.
I'm
like
going to
you.
ask you one more time before I kick you, and
I'm
it's
going to ask you to
hello.
define a woman for me, please.
It's
Can you define
hello,
a woman yet or no?
hello, how are you?
Crash out all you want, sir. You've been losing arguments since I've been here.
All
So
right, sir.
can you
Well,
define what a
unfortunately, I
woman?
can't continue this conversation with him. That's super unfortunate. I would have actually answered his question, but it's just, hello, how are you is such an easy question to answer, right? It's literally just it's like the easiest question to answer, right? Hello, how are you? Right? I'll answer whatever questions you want. I have to start with hello, how are you? Do you still support Trump? Easy stuff, It's like so easy. It's amazing that people can't figure it out. It's amazing that people can't bring them out. Sorry, I'm waiting on the next person to load up. Yeah, I know. It's crazy to just crash out just because somebody said, hello, how are you? And they're like, oh, you gotta talk about people's genitalia. Hello, how are you?
I'm just asking a real quick question. If I call
No,
that number, is it
hello.
gonna tell me to fuck myself?
No, but hello, how are you?
I'm good. How about you? I didn't
I'm
vote
doing
for
great.
Trump. That's why I was just gonna say I'm asking a question. I didn't.
No, if you call the
wanna
number,
take it
you'll
too
end up
emotional.
exactly where you are right now. Just talking to me.
That's your phone number?
Well, it
My boy,
goes to a call-in place where somebody screens the call before they find out whether they're on the live. It's not my personal cell phone number. No.
Oh, you're a fucking boss, bro. Hell yeah. Good shit. I'm out of here though. Take
All
care.
right,
Have
man.
fun.
Yeah, it's not like if you guys can call that number, like if I'm not on live, you guys can call that number all day, nothing will happen. It'll just show a busy signal. Yeah. Nothing will happen. Yeah, nothing will happen at all. It'll just go to a busy signal and that'll be it. But if I'm on live, it'll go and somebody will answer the phone and they'll be like, hey, how are you? And then God does it every single day. And then it'll go, hello, how are you? And then, it'll decide, someone will on the other end of the line will decide whether you should be up on the live or not. Yeah, exactly. Some people are like, oh, you have your personal number like on it's like, no, I don't. No. I know, it's very strange. Hello, how are you?
What's up, Polly?
Hi, how old are you?
I'm 38.
Awesome. Do you still support Trump?
You know who this is, right? It's your best friend.
Is this Jesus? Jesus, you finally came back.
Jesus?
Wow, Jesus is finally back, guys. He said he was coming back, and he finally made it back. Oh goodness, I've been waiting on this for a long time.
Do you believe in Jesus?
Oh goodness, I've been waiting for this time. Jesus, I have so many questions. Like, why did you make your religion so difficult for people to understand? And also, why is the Bible so have so many contradictions in it? You know what I'm saying? And why'd you take so
Do you
long?
believe
Why
in
did you
Jesus?
wait until like after like things like the Holocaust to come back? I'm just curious. Like why'd you take so long? I have so many. Did the nails hurt? The nails hurt?
Oh, man, that's not nice. Come
Do
on.
you ever use them for like, you know, for other things like the holes in the anyways?
Do you believe in Jesus?
I believe in a thing called love.
Oh God, here we go.
Just know the sun goes down. I believe in a thing called love.
So I was asked by the screener what topic to pick, and I kind of reluctantly mentioned the SAVE Act. I don't know what you've actually talked about so far, so I figured I'd just throw some random topic out there.
Awesome. Do you support the SAVE Act?
I do.
Why is that?
I mean, I think that only legal citizens should vote.
And that's already happening. So why do you support the SAVE Act?
I support the SAVE Act because I think that we need integrity in our elections in this country. We need forceful integrity.
And that's all again already happening. So why do you support the SAVE Act?
Well, I will say that when I voted in 2024 in Massachusetts, I walked into the voting place and they did not ask me for ID. So I said, okay, well, first they asked me what's my address. They didn't even ask for my name. They asked for my address. I said, my address is yada, yada, yada. They said, okay, what's your name? I gave them my name. They printed out a ticket. I said, how do you know that that's me? I didn't even really I just threw it out there because I was just kind of caught off guard. I'm like, how do you even know that's me? They said, well, you told me what your name was and your address. I said, sure, but you didn't ask for my ID because they don't ask for ID here. So that was like my first kind of like, okay, this
Did
is
you
kind of
show an
getting
ID
weird.
when you registered to vote?
No, I
That's a
registered
lie.
online. You don't need an ID.
Yes, you do.
I registered online. I did not need an ID.
Yeah, yes, you do. Do you want me to pull up Massachusetts voter laws to show that you did need an ID to vote to register and that you're lying? Because I can do that.
Yes, please. 'Cause I know for a fact I did.
Massachusetts.
They may have changed in the state. I don't know.
Yeah, it's never been like that actually.
It says valid forms of ID, but they didn't ask for any ID when I registered to vote.
Yep. These requirements do not apply if an individual has submitted a copy of their identification, their driver's license number, or the last four digits of their social security number when registering to vote. Voters will also be asked to show an ID in the following circumstances. You are voting for the first time in Massachusetts. You are an inactive voter list. You are casting a provisional or challenge ballot, or the poll worker has a practical and legal reason to ask you for identification. So, no, absolutely not. I'm going to actually put on the other one. Absolutely not. It says actually right here that you need either a driver's license or the last four digits of your social security number in order to register to vote.
How easy is it to get somebody's last four digits of the social security number?
When
you look
I guess
up in the
not the
database, you
most
can see all
difficult
that.
thing. Yeah, so you're saying that not only is somebody not registering, not voting without an ID, but they're also registering for somebody else first? Why would they not just register for themselves?
Well, I'm not saying that it happens a lot. I'm saying that it would make, in my opinion, it would make me feel more comfortable in general, knowing that I have more faith in elections in order for all that kind of stuff to be ironed out, because there seems to be a lot of fraudulent activity that maybe it's not concrete. We don't know exactly how many, but it is happening. And I think that if there were more ways to weed all that improprieties out, people would have more faith in our elections, and there wouldn't be this whole Virginia's fraudulent, whatever, this state's fraudulent. It wouldn't be any of that crap, because I'm fucking sick and tired of hearing it, to be honest.
First of all, my friend Matt over here, great guy, says that he also has to sign your ballot. He's also in Massachusetts. Good friend of mine in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Says he also has to sign his ballot. They match signatures, names, and addresses. 8 instances of voter fraud in Massachusetts in the last 40 years. But I have more than that. Can you tell me how many proven cases of election fraud there have been in since like in the last 40 years, according to the Heritage Foundation, which is a super right-wing think tank?
According to the Heritage Foundation, I don't know. I don't really care about the Heritage Foundation.
Well, I'm using the most right-wing, most freaking conservative source that I can. That's the only reason I'm using the Heritage Foundation.
I honestly, I don't know. I'm not gonna fucking.
Yeah,
I'm not
between
gonna throw out a
15 and
random number.
1600, which averages out between 30 and 40 a year. And that's not even presidential elections. That's midterm elections. That's local elections, all of those. Okay. And of that, in the last 40.
Is that all stuff that was that went through the court system that was actually ruled on, or is that just?
Yes, those are the ones that have been proven. Yeah, because if they're not proven, why do I care about them?
It's kind of hard to prove if you have a large quantity all at once.
It's really
to prove
not.
that they were all fraudulent.
It's so easy. Yeah, it's so easy to prove that somebody fraudulently friggin' did a vote. We have so many freaking steps in there in order to do it. Yeah. But anyways, of all of that, like literally of all of that, they found like I think 70, less than 70 that were actually non-citizens voting of the 15 to 1600. They had 15 to 1600 fraudulent votes that they found, and of that, less than 70 were non-citizens.
Do you think that when people ballot harvest, do you think that that's you're okay with that?
What do you mean by ballot harvesting?
So in certain states where you just need a essentially somebody to sign a ballot that, they fill out a ballot or whatever, they sign it. You like people walk in to like, let's say a nursing home or whatever, a place where there's a large residency, and they go and say, hey, you want to vote for X, Y, and Z, and they fill it out, and half these people don't know what they're talking about. They're older or elderly or sick, and they go into these places and they get their votes, and then who knows what happens. I'm not saying it does happen, that fraudulent filling out of the ballots happen, but what if these people don't know what the hell they're talking about and they're filling out these ballots? I know these are what ifs, but I'm saying these what ifs are part of the problem. We need to get rid of the what ifs because there's so much.
This doesn't get rid of the what ifs whatsoever. But second of all, you're saying I should support disenfranchising millions of women and millions of other people that are not going to be able to friggin' vote, or are going to have to pay essentially a poll tax that's against the Constitution in order to vote, in order to stop a hypothetical that you can't prove is happening.
What is disenfranchising people?
No. Answer my question first, sir. I'm supposed to disenfranchise a whole bunch of people in violation of the Constitution in order to stop something that you can't even prove is happening?
What is disenfranchising?
Sir, why do I care about passing a law? If it disenfranchises one person, right? If it makes one person it makes it a slight inconvenience for them to vote in order to stop something that you can't prove is happening, then why should I care?
Well, you're disenfranchising people that think that there's mass fraud from voting because of what's going on currently through media and through
opinions. That doesn't answer the question. That doesn't even address the question.
Elections.
That doesn't answer or even address the question.
You're saying you're talking about disenfranchising one.
I took away disenfranchise, sir. I said if it makes one actual American citizen voter harder for them to vote for something that you can't even prove is happening. You're talking about this ballot harvesting thing that you can't even show one instance of proof of it happening. But all of a sudden it's supposed to be some type of fear that I have that like, oh, I'm supposed to be worried about this thing that you can't prove is even happening.
Again, you can't. It's hard to prove massive fraud in one election until after it's happened, and even then, the courts don't like to rule on it.
Yeah, they do. They rule all the time on it. What are you talking about, sir? They don't rule on it very often because it doesn't happen very often because we have safeguards in place. Okay. I don't know why you guys think for some reason that the only way that you can prove whether somebody is who they say they are is with a driver's license. In most states, driver's licenses are freaking, one of the most duplicated items, like it's fake identification like, you know, in the United States. But for some reason, you guys think that, oh, well, if we force some type of driver's license thing, then all of a sudden that's going to change something. When the SAVE Act doesn't even do what you're talking about. The SAVE Act doesn't even have anything to do with showing an ID.
The SAVE Act is a. What do you mean it doesn't? As part of the re-registering the vote, is proving your identity through the act.
No, it's proving your
In the
citizenship.
legislation.
And it only leaves
Yeah,
two
that's-
abilities, and it only leaves two ways that you can prove that.
Okay, and you're against that? If that was the case,
Absolutely.
you're
Why-
against
Why would I?
showing a
Why
birth
would I? Why
certificate?
would I be okay with making people that had their name changed due to marriage or adoption, people that don't have, you know, ready access to their birth certificate or to a passport? Why would I disenfranchise all of those people, right? In order to stop what I said was, right, according to the Heritage Foundation, a super right wing think tank, right? According to the Heritage Foundation, 15 to 1600 votes in all state, local, and federal elections over the last fucking 40 years. Why would I want to do that to millions of people over 15 to 1600 votes?
I think again, my point is the fact that if we're talking about people's opinions on the elections, too many people think that their vote doesn't count.
Too many
Now.
people think that fucking that the earth is flat. Too many people think that
Okay, I'm
that
not
fucking
stupid.
all sorts of shit. But just because somebody thinks it doesn't change the actual facts of the situation. And the actual facts of the
Well,
situation
because
says,
somebody thinks that
sir,
they're trans
so
and they're not.
hold on,
that doesn't
sir.
change the
Wow,
fact
way
that they're
to
a man or
pivot
a
from the
woman,
conversation because you're losing. Stop. Okay.
It's the same thing.
No, it's not. You're just pivoting.
It can't.
Okay, so stop. It's sad. Okay. You are saying that we need
I'm
to
not sad, I'm
we
being
need to
extreme.
we need to violate the Constitution because people like you are all in their fifis, okay, about somebody else voting against the law with no proof.
What is against the Constitution with this in particular? You're
It's
talking
a
about
violation of the
disenfranchising all
24th
these people?
Amendment.
So proving you're a legal citizen is a violation of the Constitution?
No, charging people in order to vote is a violation of the 24th Amendment. So therefore,
Okay,
if
what
you
if-
have to,
what if-
sir, I'm answering in the middle of answering your
ahead.
question. Yeah, thank you. So if you have to charge someone in order to get a new copy of their birth certificate because they changed their name, or in order to get a passport, then you are charging someone in order to be able to vote.
They already do that now. You got to get a passport for things, and you got to pay for it.
You don't have to get a
That's kinda not
passport. You have to have a passport to vote. Where? In what state?
No, I'm saying like when you want to travel, you got to buy a passport.
Yeah, the
That's
24th
fine.
Amendment doesn't say in order to travel. It says in order to vote.
Okay.
Correct.
So
So
what
if
if
you are
the government- what
charging
if the
people
government
in order
said-
to vote, that is a poll tax, and therefore that is against the 24th Amendment.
Okay, so what if I don't know the exact details of the act as far as monetary things are concerned, meaning what you have to pay for, but what if this act, they came through and said, you know what, if you want to register to vote and you want to prove you're a citizen, it'll be free of cost. How would you feel about that?
Yeah,
Would
if the
that matter
government
to you?
wanted to provide fucking identification to every single voter in the United States, every single U.S. citizen, that's 100% okay. That is not a violation.
Okay.
But they would have to do that in a timely manner for everybody to be able to register to vote in a timely manner enough for everyone to be able to vote in the midterms this year, right? It's that simple.
Yeah.
They would have to be able to do that, and they would have to provide it free of cost, right, to everyone, including if, say, someone loses theirs or damages theirs. They would also have to provide that. So that would literally cost the United States billions, if not trillions of dollars in order to provide.
What if it was done on an online database and that's all that they had to keep up with? It wasn't paper or any of that stuff. Because that's what it's
Oh,
going
it's just
to
an
anyway.
online database. Yeah. You think that people complain about fucking fraudulent elections right now? We have people kicking people off of freaking voter rolls all the time, right? No, you're saying that somebody
Well,
needs to be
because
able
they're
to.
dead and
Sir,
they're
we
still on
can't.
them.
Sir, then what if it's on an online database? Why can't somebody just like you just said, go and log in for somebody else?
I'm just throwing these ideas out here because I'm.
No,
like
you're
I
throwing
said,
out an
there are
idea.
people.
You're saying that fraudulent votes are happening, but and they're happening because somebody can take someone's last four of their social. But now you're also saying that they could take the last four of their social, log into an online database, and then that's okay. No, it would have to be a
Well,
physical
people
ID
steal
so they
IDs.
could
People
show it
steal
at the
IDs
voting.
all the time. People steal ID all the time. It happens
Correct,
every
sir.
single day on a mass scale.
Correct. Exactly. Thank you for proving the point that your voter ID laws that you're trying to advocate for are stupid because people freaking duplicate and make fake IDs all the time.
I don't think it's stupid when you're trying to create a more honest system in the grand scheme of things for people who do feel like their votes don't count. I
Sir.
feel like there are people that feel that way.
Sir, I don't care
And this
what
is an
people
easy way
feel,
to-
sir. But sir, I
You
don't
should,
care what
though.
why? Why should I care about
Because
why?
they're your,
Sir,
they're
what you're
your
saying,
fellow
sir, what
citizen
you're
as well.
saying
You
is,
don't care about other people's
sir,
well-being?
no, it's not about anybody else's well-being. It's about everybody else's feelings. What you're saying is the facts say that we don't have fraudulent voting, but people's feelings feel like there's fraudulent voting, so I should care about their feelings more than I should care about the facts. That's what you're telling me. It is not my job to care more about your feelings than I do about the facts. Okay, and the facts say that this fraudulent voting thing you're talking about isn't happening. That's what the facts say. And what you're telling me to do is abandon all of those facts and make it about people's feelings. Why should I do that?
Well, apparently you're being very cold-hearted right now, Paulie. You don't care about people's feelings.
I asked you a very simple
No.
question, sir. Why should I care about people's feelings more than I care about the facts?
I don't entirely disagree with you, but I like to use hypotheticals because, like I said, there are people who feel this way. And at the end of the day, if you want what people's perception of the voting system, the integrity of the voting system, if you want their perception to be, you want them to feel engaged and like, hey, I'm voting, my vote really counts.
I don't.
And then there's honesty. Why though?
Because if those
the
people
voting
were going to be
system adds
satisfied,
a lot-
because
adds
if those
integrity?
people were going to be satisfied by facts, they'd already be satisfied. Which means that us passing a new law to try to satisfy them will only result in us still not satisfying them, right? Because if all the data and all the facts right now says that their feelings are completely inaccurate and they still choose to feel that way, then they're not rational people. So therefore, passing a bill will just move their fear on to something else. If we pass this bill, then they'll be like, oh, the next thing you know, we need to do blood tests for every single person that, that votes, or everybody has to have their voter ID tattooed on their forehead. It's never going to stop. If the facts don't help people, right, and they still stay in their feelings, then they're a lost cause. Right. And I'm not gonna subject people to worse conditions, American citizens not having the ability to vote or paying a poll tax, right, in order to appease people who do not think rationally.
Well, again, if they were to amend the proposed legislation, where it would, because I agree, I think if they were to impose it should be free for everybody, 100%. And I think that would kind of appease both sides, where the side that you're advocating for with the poll tax situation, that those people would probably lean towards, all right, if it's free, then you can justify it. We'd be
I have
okay with it.
zero
And then the
problem with the U.S. government providing IDs. They're not offering to do that. That's not in the SAVE Act.
No, I agree. That's part of the SAVE Act that I don't agree with, where I think it should be free for
I have a
everybody.
better question for you. So pretty soon, right, I'm pretty sure the legislation already passed, right? They're getting ready to automatically register, right, everybody of age for the draft that it's eligible, right? So they obviously know who's an American citizen. They obviously know who's of age, and they can automatically register them for the draft. Why can't they just do that with voting instead of making people have their birth certificates or a passport?
Is that based on is that a year-to-year thing, or is that birth date thing per citizen. Like as soon as they turn 18, it automatically registers.
Doesn't really matter, sir, does it? As soon as you turn 18, they could register you
No,
to
I'm
vote just the same way, couldn't they?
I agree. That's a good point.
So
That
why
is
aren't
a
the
good point.
Republicans
I'm
who
not
are
gonna
passing
disagree.
this automatic draft registration, right, proposition, why are they okay with advocating for automatic freaking draft registration for everybody who's eligible, but they're not okay with advocating for automatic vote registration?
I thought that we were already supposed to register for the draft. Technically, the 18-year-olds.
You are, and because not everybody was doing it, they decided to make a system where everybody automatically is registered the second they're eligible. So if they can make a system where everybody who's eligible to be drafted, right, is automatically automatically registered for the draft, then why can't they do the same for voting?
Well, that is a good argument. I can't disagree with that. I do think.
Well, it's not even a good argument, sir, because I know the reason. Because the reason has nothing to do with proving your citizenship. The entire point is disenfranchising voters. That's what the SAVE Act does. All right. It makes it where people, right, that are women, right, because women, that get married, change their name, right? So they are the people that are the most likely to be disenfranchised by this act, and they are also more likely to vote for the Democratic Party. So they're trying to suppress votes. The second people that they disenfranchise, the people that don't have like their birth certificates or a passport readily available, and then it costs them money, right, in order to get those things. Those people are also more likely to vote Democrat. Right. So all the people that they're disenfranchising, that they're trying to stop from voting, are people that the Republicans are saying that don't normally vote for them. All right. So they could, just like the draft, automatically register people to vote. But then what that would cause is a whole bunch more people being able to vote. And the more people that vote, the Republicans don't like that because their policies aren't popular. Right. The SAVE Act has nothing to do with proving people's citizenship. It has everything to do with disenfranchising voters.
If that is the case, though, if what you're saying is true, why wouldn't the Senate nuke the filibuster and go through all that crap, messing with the rules and stuff in order to pass it, knowing they would technically disenfranchise more left-leaning voters in order to save their own ass?
Yeah, that's easy. The reason why Senate Republicans won't nuke the filibuster is the same reason I want them to. And that is that they know that the second that a fucking Democrat gets in office, if there is no filibuster, they just lost DEI for red states, which is the Senate, right? Because that's really all the Senate is just DEI for red states, right? And they just lost their opportunity to have that. And now freaking Democrats are going to pass every motherfucking thing they want. And it'd be fucking great. Yeah. But they're not going to do that because they know that they don't want to give the Democrats that much power.
So you think that if the Democrats take Congress and, they take the House and the Senate, let's say 2026, because it's looking like more than likely they'll take the House. If they were to take both if they were to take both the House and the Senate, do you think that they would nuke the filibuster just because? Or do you think that this is
who would
just
nuke the
a political
filibuster?
bullshit that the Democrats would?
I don't think they would, because I don't think the Democrats we have in office have enough balls to do it.
No. I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about either side at this point. I'm actually quite honestly sick of government and how stupid it all is at this point. Ultimately, it's just about saving their own asses, it seems.
This is not about saving their own asses. This is 100% and unequivocally about disenfranchising voters, specifically voters who are minorities, voters that are below the poverty line, voters that are women, right? That's what the SAVE Act is about. It's about disenfranchising those voters. That's it. That's all it's about, right? It has nothing to do with, again, they've already proven that there is not a problem with freaking non-citizens voting in the United States. It doesn't exist.
So if they were to propose and change it so that the government would this would all be free, then from your side, you would be more okay. Not saying you would be okay with it, but you would be more.
I'd be 100% okay with it. I'd actually be more okay with it than our primary system right now. Yeah,
So
because then we wouldn't have
that's a
to.
good starting ground, but
That's not a
what
good
should
starting
happen,
ground because
in
the
my
Republicans aren't going to do that because that's not their goal, right? Because what that would create is if everybody had a voter ID that was issued to them by the federal government for free. If that was issued, then there would be more eligible voters. Everyone would be automatically registered, and then everybody would have an automatic ID to do it, which means there would be more voters. I think we should make the day that we vote for national elections federal holiday so nobody has to go to work either, right? But
totally
again,
agree with the 100%.
but those are things that aren't going to happen in in the United States as long as conservatives are in charge because conservatives aren't popular. Nobody likes them. Okay, so therefore, instead of making better policies, their choice is instead of making better policies to just disenfranchise voters. That's
I
their
don't think
choice.
that I don't think that's correct that people don't like Republicans. I
They
think
don't.
people, I don't believe that's true because I think the concept of the conservative, let's just say like the older mentality, the old school conservative is mostly, a lot of it has to do with budgeting and money and that kind of crap. And then from the liberal aspect, it's more about, spending money, stuff like that. So like people like me who I socially lean somewhat Democrat, conservative, when it comes to my money, budgeting and stuff like that, I think more from like a conservative perspective. So I think we all kind of have both aspects of like the political climate in our psyche, except from a social standpoint, people lean more liberal, depending on how they feel about policy, and then vice versa with Republicans, how they feel about policies with Republicans. The other problem I feel is that liberals tend to lean in X direction with certain policies, and then, Democrats will kind of culturally flock to that ideology, like how those people feel, in order to appease those people for votes, and then vice versa with Republicans.
Yeah, so what you're
You know
talking
what I
about
mean?
is like pre-Reagan conservative policies, and Reagan stopped being president a long fucking time ago, dude. 10 of the last 11 recessions have happened under Republicans. The most, like, literally, Donald Trump has added more debt to the national debt than any president in history, right? Over $12
Yeah,
trillion.
well, we know.
Okay. So when you're talking about conservative budgeting, they are the worst at budgeting. Like the worst. Trump was fucking worse than Biden, worse than Obama. Bush was worse than Clinton. Clinton actually balanced the budget. Like these are, you're talking about pre-Reagan numbers. We're not in pre-Reagan numbers anymore. Nobody believes that conservatives are better for the budgeting anymore, except for old people. Younger people and most of the voting population understands the Republicans are actually much worse for that. Or at minimum, they think that both are bad, but nobody believes that conservatives are like gonna save us fiscally. It's not going to happen. Being conservative, like an old fiscal conservative, is like a new school moderate Democrat, right? That's about it,
Yeah.
right? Like Biden was the one who literally spent added less to the debt than just Donald Trump's non-COVID spending. Just his non-COVID spending was Biden spent less. Okay, so I don't like your idea of this whole like fiscal conservative, like that's old, man. That doesn't exist. That's not real
Well,
anymore.
I mean, they do a good job of politicking around the issue to say every year we need to spend less, and then they start hopping on the social stuff that's been happening over the last 4 years, because obviously there's a lot of stuff going on with those issues, and then they hop on that train and they kind of just weasel their way into office through those arguments, which is fine because that's politics. But
it's not politics. That's you believing shit you shouldn't be believing.
Well,
you're the one up here
politics,
repeating
dude.
it, and like nobody's asking you to do that, right? You're the one up here repeating that somehow they're better for the budget. You're the one that is even admitting that they're lying, and you're still repeating it, right? You could.
I'm not saying that. I never said they were better for the budget. I'm saying most conservatives' mentality is that. It's not my mentality. I'm not a conservative.
You just said you lean more conservative, more fiscally conservative due to things like the budget. You're the one spreading that, and and it's not true.
I'm saying conceptually,
No, don't say conceptually. I don't give a
lean
fuck about what
conservative with my own
what
finances.
you think is fucking conceptually is antiquated, right? It's 40 years old. Your perception is antique at this point, dude. It's not even close. Your perception isn't reality. That's all I'm saying.
I get that. I'm just saying that the conservatives typically think of Republicans in the conservative movement as a fiscally, budget-driven movement, whatever in government.
And when you guys want to come,
it's not. And obviously, year over
when
year,
you guys
want to
come back to Earth, when you guys want to come back to Earth, we're welcome to have you.
No, I'm not saying that I'm okay with it. I think that the budget is insane, and like I said, government year over year they have to increase the budget to justify getting more money. That's just the way government works.
No, that's the way you think government has to work. It's not the way government works. It's the way,
that it has been working for the last 20, 30 years.
Because you guys keep voting in these people.
It's not you guys. It's Clinton.
It is you guys.
Bush,
you voted for Trump.
Obama. Okay, but it's Obama. It's Biden too. It's everybody. All of them do the same thing.
It's not. The both sides argument's old, dude.
You're gonna tell me that the budget didn't increase between every president, Republican or Democrat? It did. It has.
Yeah, and it's done significantly more under Republicans and minimally under Democrats.
Well, because at this point, Trump's been in office the last 8 out of the last, well, not 8, but 6 out of the last 12 years, 10 years.
Donald Trump's first term alone versus Biden's 4-year, Donald Trump added double.
What'd you say? As opposed to who? Biden?
If you take Biden's 4 years and Donald Trump's first 4 years, Donald Trump added double to the national debt. Double. $8.6 trillion.
Double 2 to 4 or 4 to 8?
4 to 8.
What do you mean by under Trump?
Yeah.
And then Biden was what? 8 to...
No. Sorry. Let me. Donald Trump added $8.6 trillion by himself.
In the first 4 years.
Yep. Another $4 trillion on this term.
So what was it under Biden?
4.4, I believe. 4.5, maybe.
Well, I don't want to Google this to see what the actual number is.
Sure, I'm sure I have it someplace.
6 trillion.
Yeah, that's not true.
23 was 6 trillion. 24 was 7 trillion.
That's not true.
So that's 7, 6, 13, 19. That was 19 under Biden.
That's not true. I don't know what in the living fuck you're looking at.
Total requested spending. 6
and
trillion.
Here it
2021,
actually
Trump
is,
to
because
Biden.
that's horseshit. So let me throw it on the screen so everybody can see it.
The House Budget Committee, CBO.
The House Budget Committee doesn't have any basis in reality, sir. It's just people talking. Yeah. So here it actually is, okay? With partisan, bipartisan, total debt. Trump versus Biden, partisan breakdown of new debt, 10-year impact. Donald Trump, 8.4 trillion. Biden, 4.3 trillion.
So that's 16 to 20 and then 20 to 24.
24 to or 21 to 20. Yeah, close enough.
So Trump was almost double what Biden was in Trump's first floor.
Yep. Just
term. But that
just
also
shy.
includes COVID as well, right? COVID
That
relief.
includes COVID for both of them.
That was, well, under Trump, that was 2 trillion, was it?
It was almost 4
Roughly?
trillion. It was over
Whatever.
4 trillion.
Just for COVID relief?
Yep, and for Biden it was 2-point-something trillion. Yeah.
Oh,
So
shit,
literally,
I
if
didn't
you
realize
take Biden's COVID relief and Biden's non-COVID relief and add it together, it's still less than Trump's non-COVID spending. Not to mention, again, he's added another 4 trillion this term, and I don't know what that's $0 COVID spending.
Does the 4 trillion include the big beautiful bill?
Yeah,
So that's
Actually, all of it includes a big beautiful bill. That's literally where he increased the funding. I'm pretty sure.
but that's over the course of the 10 years, isn't it? That's what that
All
budget,
of this
that's
is
what
over
that
the course of 10 years. So that's how we judge every president based off their approved 10-year spending.
Yeah, so I know. Okay, so the 4 trillion is based off of 10 years, so technically it's 400 billion for this year, not 4 trillion. If we're being fair.
Donald Trump signed into law the approval of $4 trillion of new debt over the next 10 years. That's how we
Yes.
decide. That's how we judge a president's debt. We don't judge it based off the debt that was signed in by previous presidents that they happen to jump into office on. We judge it based off the approved national debt increase under that president.
For at that point in time when they signed the bill.
Yep.
Okay. Well, obviously, you know, when you hear that shit, when you hear it in the news, it sounds a lot better than it actually is. But I'm not in total agreement with everything the bill did at the time, besides the taxes, the little bit of tax relief that I got this past year. But that's besides the point.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I'm going to move on to the next caller. I don't know if even I have one, but I'm going to move on to somebody else anyway. So I hope you have a good one, okay?
All right. Take it easy, man. Have a good one.
You too. All right, John. If you guys still support Trump, you guys can call in on the number that's above my head, or move on, or join the guest request box. If you guys like support, I do have super chats, super stickers, pay links in the bio, live gift goal. Thank you guys so much for those who have knocked out, who finished the album, knocking out the last one, and already 5 into the hat and mustaches. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate y'all. I'm trying to go a little more class in session. Okay, I'm trying to go a little more class in session. We'll see how everything works out. But thank you guys so much. I really appreciate that. DJ, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Said, love what you do, man. I also became a member. Thank you so much. Capo, also thank you so much for the 10 gifted memberships over there. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Capo. Let me click that off. Jimmy, thank you so much. Oh my God, I'm an idiot. Sorry. Jimmy, thank you so much for the makeup brush. I really appreciate that. Glitcho, thank you so much for the party hat. Chewy, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. He said media caused the fraud fear. That was Trump. Also, how Obama was worse. Obama's pulled the country out of a recession. Trump is going for his second. Yeah, that's what keeps happening. It's just a lot of Republicans putting us into recessions and then Democrats having to pull us out of recessions. That is the general flow of how things work. But thank you so much, Chewy. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And thank you so much. I see Esther. I see Electric with the hat and mustaches. I really appreciate that. All right, y'all. We're going to keep this going. Again, y'all, if you guys still support Trump, you can call in on the number that's above my head or join the guest request box. Those are the best ways to get a hold of me. We're going to see. I think we have a couple people in the guest request box. I don't know if any of them are looking to have a conversation or not, but we're going to keep going. Anyways, if you guys are in here, please make sure you guys are chatting in the chat. That really does mean so much. Hitting that like button and chatting in the chat really, really does mean so much. Hello, how are you? All right, that sounds like somebody is actually playing the organ, which you know, kind of soothing. Honestly, I don't know who's playing the organ over here. It's Sunday. Come on, you guys know MAGA didn't go to church or anything. All right, you know they didn't go to church. Look, I get it. Most MAGA is afraid to talk to me at this point. All right, I get it. I'm very scary and intimidating, and I'm way too pretty for them, and they have like nothing to debate me on. Okay, and so they just do their best. All right, they just do their best. So they're all hiding right now because they're scared, and I don't blame them. You know, I'd be afraid of me too. I'd be afraid of me too. No, seriously, like truly, I'd be afraid of me. Yeah, no, I didn't get on last night with yeah, also they can't read. Man, if those fellas could read, they'd be super angry right now. No, I started to go on after the whole assassination attempt last night. I really did. I started to go on last night and I was like, you know, What's the point? Like, literally, I was like watching a bunch of stuff online, and even the Republicans, like, nobody believes this shit anymore. Nobody believes this shit. Right? It's not even a conspiracy theory to think that this is a joke anymore. You know? That's the sad part. It used to be like conspiracy theory shit in order to be like, oh yeah, like, oh, it's fake. Oh, they're covering it up, all sorts of shit. It's not even a conspiracy theory anymore, dude. Like, it's just sad. Like, Trump didn't come out and say anything about, they didn't come out and say anything about, you know, oh yeah, we need to catch the killer or anything like that. He was like, this is why I need my ballroom. You know, this is why I need my ballroom. And it's like, bro, nobody gives a shit about your ballroom, dude. Like, seriously, dude, it's the most staged shit, bro. First, we have the, like, you know, the Butler PA thing where we see cameramen coming behind, and then, oh, he gets a little nick on his ear, and the Secret Service doesn't even cover him. He's just like, yay. Staged as fuck, right, bro? Staged as shit. And then all of a sudden, like, oh, it's crazy. Like, oh, we're going to tweet about the ballroom. There's been pictures showing him, like, behind the curtains. Like, bro, it's a joke at this point. It truly is a joke. It's not even fun to talk about. Like, it's not even fun to talk about it anymore because it's just like everybody understands it's just a joke. You know? In my opinion. In my opinion. It's just like, it's, I don't know. Like, cool, man. Yeah. Oh, I've never attended the correspondence dinner. And then all of a sudden someone's going to flash me a note and then, oh, crazy. Oh, there's an armed person. Oh. Dude's never attended the fucking White House Correspondents' Dinner, like, as the president. Has never done it. And then all of a sudden he does it. And then, oh, we gotta have this thing. And then all of his fucking Truth Social bullshit is just like, we gotta have it. This is why we need a ballroom. Because that's all the fucking, we're literally at war. And all this motherfucker gives a shit about is a fucking ballroom. You know? Did y'all see that Fox News shit where they pretty much got interrupted? Like, say, someone was on there like, yeah, someone told me to, like, watch out. We all knew it was, like, someone was telling me, like, to watch out prior to it happening. I think it was, like, Caroline Levitt's, like, husband or something. I think, like, Caroline Levitt's husband was telling somebody, like, oh, watch out tonight. Like, things are going to get real crazy. And Fox News was like, all right, we got to go. We're disconnecting. Oh, there's a problem. Click, click, click. Guys, if you can't protect here's my thing. One, they were in a hotel. Donald Trump spends most of his time at Mar-a-Lago. But you can't protect a hotel? Give me a fucking break. Second of all, if you can't protect at a hotel, you can't protect a ballroom. All right? Literally nobody believes that you can't, if you like, oh, well, hotels and ballrooms, well, they're completely different to protect. It's a fucking joke, dude. It really is. Yeah, it was someone said it was Caroline Levitt's grandfather / husband. It's her granddaddy / baby daddy. It's her granddaddy / baby daddy. Why did he have knives also? Why was Kash Patel there? So we could keep one eye on the door. No, I I'm sorry. Yeah, so somebody's got to keep one eye on the door, okay? Somebody's got to do it. All right. Also, all those shots fired and the dude was fine. That's weird, right? I don't know. Seems kind of strange. Anyways, again, while I bring up the next caller, if you guys like support, make sure you guys hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Let's get this thing up to 150,000 likes over there. And I do have super chats, super stickers, pay links in the bio. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Hello, how are you?
Good. And yourself?
Awesome. How old are you?
I'm 40.
Awesome. Do you still support Trump?
I do.
Awesome. Why is that?
Well, I guess that would just be simply because of the way that fiscally he doesn't, it isn't the way politicians have usually always acted. I respect that. But as far as national debt goes and the way that we've accumulated, I have some concerns with it, but I don't think it's a true observation in the way that you stated it. I think it's kind of a little bit of a lie, a little misleading. I don't know how I want to word it properly, but without being disrespectful, because I truthfully, I think that you are a hell of a commentary. And I mean, I do not agree with you at all in your political viewpoints or ideology. I can say that, but I can just say that there's quite a few discrepancies in that when you were bringing up the debt, adding on to the national debt. Now,
well, first of all, real quick, just because somebody does something different doesn't mean that it's right, right? If somebody, like, if I ask somebody to come over and fix my sink and they reroute all my water to my neighbor's house, they're doing it differently, but that doesn't mean that it's doing it correctly. So making an argument saying that things are just done differently doesn't really help me, right? Honestly, preferably, I'd rather have somebody who's experienced, knows what they're doing, and does things the right way. But what discrepancies did I have with the debt?
Well, I mean, with the debt, it's Joe Biden. He added I would say it's approximately like 8.4 trillion.
Oh,
I mean, with a
Trump's
few
numbers.
major legislative acts that were impactful on it. And I mean, I did put a few of those in the chat, but Trump added 7.8. Biden is over 9. I mean, Obama was over 9. And if regardless, it's disgusting. Either way, you're going to look at this ideologically or politically, because anytime you add it. But I mean, to the point of the last caller when he states this, once it gets into a point of office, that there is no true way for growth or advancement. It's like a steady, just ticking towards the cliff. I feel like everyone kind of has a perceived plan, regardless of how this goes. And I mean, I have a belief. I still believe it, that Trump is going to turn this around. I don't believe that the policies and the feckless policies in which the United States has enacted its foreign policy, or even here domestically, I do not think, truthfully, it's at least a success. Just truthfully, if you think about everything that goes down to how we've always done it, none of it is peeled out or panned out the way we've wanted it to, because every time we elect a politician that is a lifelong politician, they do the same thing. So I believe Trump is going to change things around. I don't think that's going to look pretty.
Well, first of all, I already put up the numbers, so I'll put them back on the screen. Donald Trump had 8.4 trillion in his first 4 years in adding to the national debt. You said Obama had over 9 trillion. That is correct, over 8 years. If you consider what Donald Trump already has added in his current term plus that term, he's already over 12 trillion. Biden in his 4 years had 4.3 trillion added to the national debt. So you're very incorrect on those numbers, and I have the numbers up on the screen so everybody can see it. All right. So yes, hold on, sir. I let you talk for quite a long time. I think I deserve to get a few moments out here. Okay. So the numbers are not even close, right? But Obama over 8 years, 9 trillion. Donald Trump over 5 years, over 5 years is 12 trillion. So it's not even close. But you're saying, hey, we elected politicians and not everything and nothing has gone right. Well, that's not it. That's not correct at all, sir. We've had tons of things that have gone right by electing politicians, just not everything that we've wanted, which is completely different from Donald Trump, where we elected him. Well, not we. I didn't vote for him, but we as America and voted him in, and he's done nothing. Like his entire policy agenda has been give tax cuts to rich people, which is nothing different from what Reagan did with the destruction of the middle class, and just demonize immigrants and trans people. Like he's done nothing to actually help American citizens whatsoever. Under the Biden administration, we had the largest infrastructure bill in American history. We isolated ourselves from chip manufacturing and we supported veterans. Those are all important things. What has Donald Trump done? Like what policy initiatives?
No. So listen, honoring our PACT Act, okay, that added $520 billion to the debt, brother. Just because we expanded health care for disability for veterans, exposed toxic substances, and projected 10-year impacts, we're not understanding that. The American Rescue Plan, okay, it's 1.9 to 2.1 trillion. Then you got the appropriations, and then we had the bipartisan infrastructure law, the CHIPS and Science Act, foreign aid supplements. Listen, I'm not going to lie.
Are you proving my point or yours?
No, I'm talking about the amount of debt the man has added to it's cute little ways to prop up something when you know essentially all you're doing is trying to prop up a house of cards.
Sir, what you're just describing is adding debt that actually hurts them, that actually helps American people, right? Like everything that hold on, sir, everything that you named was either helpful or with the intent to help American citizens. Donald Trump added $8.4 trillion to the national debt. Please explain to me what that did to help the American people.
Are you seriously?
Yes.
Which portion of the legislation?
Name one. I don't care.
There's a lot. We can actually, I'll pull this up.
I just asked you to name one, sir. I asked you to name one piece of this legislation that actually helped. Out of the TCJA and HR 1 of the big, beautiful bill, please tell me one thing that helped the average American citizen more than it helped, incredibly rich people.
I guess the CARES Act. Responses and Relief Act, I guess I could pull up. Yeah, okay. So the Responses and Relief Act, the CARES Act.
The CARES Act? Was that part of the TCJA? Well, that's fine. What was the CARES Act, sir?
What?
I asked you to explain to me what the CARES Act is.
It was a massive bipartisan package for the stimulus checks, paycheck protection programs. I mean, it did add 1.9 trillion to the debt. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, those were the stimulus checks and things like with certain things. And I mean, there's a lot of. I don't even like to even bring it up because the simple way of how it was all put, it all adds to the debt. So truthfully, it's just a fucking show. But in the end, it's tomato as far as debt. Okay. And none of it is enacted the way they say it is. Half of it is just shelved or erased by the next president or reworded in some slop that the American people don't even get. And most of our tax dollars are given out in foreign relief. I mean, truthfully, can you not say the tariffs weren't a good thing?
The way Donald Trump did them, they were absolutely not a good thing.
I mean, truthfully, historically, we were always on tariffs. The system's only changed to benefit the rich, and the tariffs kind of go back to how everything goes. Deregulation is one of the biggest things with him. If we don't sit there, hold on. We're getting all of innovation.
We're getting way off track. Sorry, and I just want to bring us back because it's really crazy, and like I just want to make sure we're clear on this. You talked about the CARES Act and it being like an excellent policy for American citizens, but you were just trashing the American Rescue Plan, which did a lot of the same things. And I'm just curious why you're in favor of the CARES Act, which did things like stimulus checks, did things like subsidies, and you don't. But you were mad about things like
tomato. They're both disgusting because of the amount of debt.
Well, then you still haven't named one policy that Donald Trump did that helped normal American people more than it helped the rich.
Well, the CARES Act was a stimulus checks directly helped us and not the rich, my friend.
Well, it helped us a lot less than a lot of people, honestly. I mean, it was okay for
I
people under
agree.
the poverty line, which is a
Okay.
small level, but the majority of people like that wasn't really significant. $1,200 isn't paying a mortgage in the United States. It's not really helping people eating. I mean, it's always nice to have a little check in your pocket, right? But we also saw that based on like American, American inflation rising, all sorts of stuff also. But again, when Joe Biden did it, you said the American Rescue Plan was a joke. I'm just asking you to tell me one thing that Donald Trump actually did as a policy, and all you're telling me is he gave us money during COVID. That doesn't really sound like much of anything. While I'm describing to you things like the largest infrastructure bill in American history, like things that help veterans. Like I was just hoping for something more than that.
Like the GOP tax and spending law. That was I don't even want to bring out. It was $3 trillion, dude. Oh my God. But that majorly impacts and extended tax cuts while reducing spending on social programs, stuff like that, or like what else? There's something else, something. But and there was that little girl. That was about predators. Yeah, there was the other one with that. So I got to source it. There was the one where he made an act about there was a young lady who was violently assaulted by undocumented illegal aliens, and I believe that act was a complete and utter success, beautifully, and it was literally there to help Americans, truthfully, not for any other foreign policy or to help anything else.
You're talking about the Lincoln Riley Act, and what exactly did that do?
Yeah, the Lincoln Riley Act. Yeah.
And what did that
Yeah,
do?
I like that. What do you mean? It put in certain safeguards and implemented certain things for non-U.S. citizens to be arrested for specific crimes that pertain towards, obviously, I don't want to talk about it. It disgusts me. So
Yeah, I will. So in what state was that not already illegal?
Well, granted, but if the way in which the policies are enacted statewide instead of federally, brother, you see what I mean? Exactly.
No, I
statewide.
don't, because
Every
the
state has
laws
its
that
own
they're talking
legislative
about, because the
policy.
Lincoln Riley Act actually specifically went to things like theft, which isn't even a federal crime, right? Like you can't get arrested federally for petty theft. So literally all the Lincoln Riley Act did was make things that were already illegal still illegal.
I guess if we're going to try to word it in that way, but that's just word salad in a way.
No, I think the Lincoln Riley Act is a perfect example of the Trump administration and how it actually works. I think that's really important, right? Because it's the Trump administration passing a bill that had zero effect on anything, zero, right? It affected nothing, right? All it said is that people could be arrested for crimes that they already could be arrested for, right? So cool, right? But it's all about freaking bringing up emotion with people. It's all about freaking making people in their fifis, about getting people upset about things, right? Like that have no actual real effect on human beings, right? Like the infrastructure bill. I hear all the time, like people talk about the infrastructure bill and how much like, oh, it didn't do anything. When literally every single person in the United States is being affected by that. It wasn't performative, right? It was real things that helped the United States citizens. Where the things like the Lincoln Riley Act are just completely performative. They have nothing else but that.
I hate how fucking, I mean, I don't hate, I can't say that. It's a very horrible way to say it. It upsets me how much I don't agree with you, but how much I want to see you on national television. It's somewhat disgusts me. I actually have to spit up in my throat a little bit about it because of, I would never think that I would look at the opposite political aisle and just, yeah, I don't understand it. But I can't get mad because you don't really, I mean, it's something. I just can't explain it.
I'm
But
getting all flustered over here, sir. I don't know what to say.
Well, I'm not getting flustered at all. I'm more
No, I'm saying
upset
I
with
am.
myself, the fact
I'm
that
blushing. You can't see me.
Oh, yeah. Okay, understandable. I respect it. So listen, when it comes down to middle class savings, when it comes down to the business growth, when I think the impacts that have truthfully socially made a difference, cutting red tape, all of these things, if we can have it on both sides of the political aisle, and I can point to some very relevant ones for the Democrats, but I can, I tend to want to, because of the subject and the president that we have at hand, I tend to point to Donald Trump. And I am going to support the man. I am going to support the man because he's an American. I supported and voted for Obama because he's an American, not because he was black or whatever, because he was an American. And I think that we need to hold that. If we don't understand that lesson, then we just essentially devolve in tribalism and we cannibalize each other. And I think that we have very logical points on both sides of the aisle for each one of us to say, hey, I have a lot of just disdain for this. I don't think this is appropriate. I don't think it's right what you're doing, how you're acting. And I don't think the amount of money that we are sitting here accumulating in debt is just responsible. And if I think fiscal responsibility comes down to it, there are old sayings, conservative. You're fiscally conservative, okay? Or you have a moral high ground. Everybody knows the more like a moral high ground, your goals to want to enact for social justice or social goals, you're typically going to lead Democratic. Once we can get, and I believe this truthfully, once we can get past the point of Democratic or Republican and just understand that the nation is not going to change until we have individuals such as yourself that is willing to conversate about it in very unpleasant and uncomfortable ways most of the time for most people. And I don't think there's going to be growth. And that's just the truth. But sitting there and letting the conversation devolve into name calling isn't going to help. And I think that I respected Trump because of what he did as far as how that went. For as long as my mind has always went, it's just been, oh, you got to be respectful, you got to be polite, you got to do everything like this, and everything like I'm bringing up the norms. These are the norms for all these every year for as long. So it was like 70s when I was a kid, and it's just now to see something that is different, like changing the department to the Department of War. That right there, you think about it, it sounds crazy, but it isn't, because in the end, it is truthful. When you go to commit that type of an act, we're not going out here to hand out roses and food. We will after it's all done. But in the truth, we're coming here, we're going to kill everybody over there. I know that might not sound pleasant to people, but now that we've, truthfully propagandized and corrupted half of the minds of the country into sheepified little pussies, they don't understand what that level is, and that's why they most of the time talk shit and say things they don't even understand because they've never been punched in their face. But Trump seemed to me to come off like that individual who's been punched in his face and has done quite a few punchings in the face. So I think I truly respect that. And I know that the system can't get fixed overnight. But if we don't try, then what do? I mean, just like you're doing now. You're trying, Polly. You didn't give up. You didn't just say, I'm washing my fucking hands at the other aisle, bro. You set up a network. You set up you outsourcing and willing to have a dialogue with people that do not conform or agree to your political ideology. That means something. And I think that that's the step we have to learn to fucking take as Americans. And until we can do that, I don't think there will be any growth. And I think it'll just be consistent, steady destruction.
Well, I'm going to make a few points on what you just said there. And So let's start with this, okay? Just because somebody is the president doesn't mean that we should automatically support them. Like Teddy Roosevelt said that very, specifically, that supporting a president just because they're the president is both the most unpatriotic and servile thing that you can possibly do, right? And the reason for that is because there's a reason why the president takes an oath to the Constitution. There's a reason that our military members take an oath to the Constitution, is because we're not supposed to have allegiance to a certain person. We're supposed to have allegiance to the Constitution, right? And the Constitution,
Correct.
as many problems as I have with the Constitution, and I do, and I think it should be, I think it should be adjusted. I think it should be
Amended?
rewritten. I think it
You
should be
think it should be
amended more
amended?
constantly, and I really do. But at the same point, right? That is what we talk about, right? That we talk about an allegiance to the Constitution, not to Donald Trump. And when Donald Trump, right, is in violation of the Constitution, that's what's un-American, right? That's truly what's un-American, right? Because when he's been found by federal courts to be like over a half a dozen times to be in violation of the First Amendment, right? When he said things like, just because Alex Preddy had a firearm on him, made him he shouldn't have been able to have a firearm on him during a protest. That's a violation of the Second Amendment, right? We could talk about 5th, 6th, 7th, or 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 14th, 24th, 25th, really, amendment, right? We could talk about a lot of amendments that Donald Trump's in violation of. So supporting Donald Trump is not pro-American just because he's the president. It's actually anti-American because he's in violation of all the things that the United States is supposed to be about, right? The things that make us a country. We thrive on things like free speech. We thrive on things like, freedom of expression, freedom of press, things that are supposed to be inherent to us, right? We are a country that is
Our fundamental
built.
morals, what our fabric was based on.
Well, I don't know if it's always been off of morals, right? But it's definitely been on immigration, right? Like that's for sure, right? We've definitely had
100%.
we've built this
My
entire
grandparents
country
are
on
Hungarian.
of course, all of our grandparents, our great grandparents, our great great grandparents were either immigrated here voluntarily or were forced here, right? Like
True.
that's what I have. Half of my
Like my
family
girlfriend
is
Tamisha, her parents were
Yeah.
forced into slavery here.
So half of my family is here as Irish immigrants, and the other half of my family was brought here from slavery, right? So we have
Those
both
two
that,
forms of
and I'm the
slavery,
mix
wow.
of that, right? But what Donald Trump does is he consistently tells immigrants how they're bad. He calls them vermin, poison this blood that's poisoning the blood of the American fabric. Says they don't belong here. That's a whole other issue. So no, supporting Donald Trump is not American. It's actually the opposite of that, right? But I do want to move on a little bit because you talked about the Department of War, and when it comes to the Department of War, it's not a matter of does our military punch someone in the face? Of course they have. They've always done that. They did that through the first Gulf War, the second Gulf War, Iraq. They've done that through in Afghanistan. We did that, all the way through everything. The U.S. military has always been the hammer, right? The change from the Department of Defense to the Department of War is saying that, hey, we are not going to be a stance that is defensive in rhetoric, right? We're not going to be someone who is only going to attack once attacked. We are going to be something that's offensive. We're going to be somebody that attacks unprovoked. And I think things like Venezuela and things like Iran prove, right, that that's exactly what they meant when they said when they changed it to Department of War, right? Is that we're not going to wait for somebody to be a harm to the United States. We're not going to wait for somebody to, want to do damage to us. We're going to do things offensively before that happens. And that's why I have a problem with that. First of all, let's also be clear that it's not actually the Department of War, right? It's not the Department of War until Congress approves that, which they haven't, right? So they're just making up made up terms, but they're acting on that, right? You see Pete Hegseth going up there and I like to call it war haikus, right? He's up there rhyming and, oh, we're doing this and that, and we're bombing this many times, and we're completing all our objectives. I don't know why he wants to rhyme like.
Me when he made the Pulp Fiction reference and made it
That's actually one of my favorite movies of all time, and I found that part actually hilarious. But
it was funny,
inequities of both sides.
I understood the reference as he was saying it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, sir, is that that's not a good thing. The United States should only interfere when necessary, right? And I'm not saying that we shouldn't interfere ever.
How am I agreeing with
but
you?
we should interfere when necessary, and only when absolutely necessary from a military standpoint, right? Department of Defense, even though it hasn't been used to that, and I just named a bunch of instances when it hasn't, right? Even though you could argue things like, like Afghanistan was, in retaliation for 9/11, but regardless of any of that, the whole idea was defense. Only once we're attacked will we retaliate. Department of War says we're going to do the opposite of that. And honestly, I'm just not a fan of that. I don't like the name change. I don't like the new ideas. I don't like the new rhetoric. I don't like the new stance. I don't like any of it.
So, and you know what? As an American, I can respect that. I can respect that viewpoint. Now, can I ask you something? And I just want to bring up, because you obviously are a student of history. It's very, very obvious. So there was a very, notable time in the Reich where they had to solidify political support for a certain operation, okay? And so it was right before the advent of World War II. So they red flagged. They essentially took prisoners, dressed them in uniforms, and did a coup attempt, pretty much essentially setting the Chancellor Building or the Reich on fire. And then that gave them all the political support with the masses to then move forward with what they were doing. And I believe that they were claimed to be Jewish or whatnot, even might have solidified that further. I'm not sure. I have not.
I'm familiar. It's called the Reichstag fire. It's a very
yes.
Yeah, it's a very infamous
and this is
thing in history. Yeah.
Well, throughout all of history, we've understood that. And truthfully, I don't like to bring this up because this it's a disdain in my heart to the American policy, the political systems. And this was a Democrat. This was through FDR. So Pearl Harbor was not Japan. When you really go back, we had cracked the Enigma code. We had already cracked the blueprint to listen in on all of their communications, Japan and Germany. And so we already knew everything they were going to do. Everyone looks back, you don't understand. Conveniently, none of the aircraft carriers were placed in Pearl Harbor. We just had a very few iconic name pieces that if they were destroyed would very much enrage the American people, especially if there was thousands of individuals on board. So what did we do? We knew they were coming, but why did they come? We put a blockade around Japan. Japan was a blossoming, flowering industrial revolution at a time in the midst of that, like we were, and they were needing oil. It was very important for them to get oil. Everything was becoming industrialized at that point, mechanized. So they're an island nation. Japan cannot produce that. They have to import it. They could not import it because the United States said, no, nothing import-wise comes into your country. So what did Japan do? Japan, like a tiger backed into a corner, said, what am I going to do? Do I starve to death? Do I allow my people to suffer? Or do I lash out first? Now, don't get me wrong, and technically, in my opinion, it wasn't first. If you're starving me to death and I'm only
Hey, sir,
acting out,
I really don't want to cut you off. I know the history of all this. What's your point? Are you comparing Pearl Harbor to the Reichstag fire?
With what's going on with 9/11. This is the point I'm making, is that that was a complete democratic red flag operation from the president down. Right from the head of the president stated himself.
Let me give you a breakdown. I have no idea what happened with Pearl Harbor. I know that we put the blockade in. I know that we starved them out of their fuel. I know Japan felt like they had no choice, and of course there is a lot of theories out there about whether we had the ability to do that. I'm not going to relate that to 9/11 because again I don't have enough information. As far as I know, that was a terrorist attack.
9/11, brother. The 5 dancing Israelis.
No,
9/11.
No, 9/11 was a horrific thing, and I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna do conspiracy theories about it. All right, I'm
not
really
going to go. The 5 dancing Israelis is not a conspiracy theory. That's a fact.
Okay. Well, I don't know what this has to do. Any of this has to do with what we're talking about.
The point is solidifying support for foreign wars. In my opinion, it does not matter how. The way we're talking about wars and everything that we're talking about, how each president, how this is going to go into. My point I'm going back to is it doesn't matter on what side of the aisle, because Trump now being a Republican, doing what he's doing in Iran, in which one big thing I did vote for the man is because he's going to end foreign wars. Okay. So there's one big thing that turns my stomach a little bit. And I still have hope. I'm still a supporter. I still 100%. I don't just support him because he's the president. I support him because of the man. He's not a politician. Historically, he never was. Historically, he wasn't perfect. You're not, and you know I'm not, brother. But he did, as a billionaire, literally put more women into positions of power than any other around him. He literally, throughout his career, has done some very messed up things. And a couple of the statements he's made, truthfully, I have voted for. Because if me and you were in the back room and just messing around and talking about something, we would say something that most people probably wouldn't like. And if you were being recorded and you didn't know it, that would probably suck. But you couldn't take it back.
No, I wouldn't.
But he never did.
No,
you can't say you're a saint, Polly, and I'm not saying
I'm
you
not
are.
saying I'm a
okay.
saint. I'm saying that you could put me in a room and I wouldn't say anything that would just like offend people around the back. I wouldn't fucking do
Well,
like
you
that.
wouldn't. If you were in a room with just you and a close friend, though, and you didn't understand that they had a hot mic on.
You can hot mic me for the rest of my fucking life, and I'll never say anything like that because I don't actually believe those things.
Well, I mean,
I'm sorry, I just don't believe. Like this whole locker room talk shit it's stupid to me, bro. Like it really is. It's stupid to me. You're saying, oh, he put more women in power. He also has almost 30 allegations of sexual assault. Right?
Okay, so this is true. Every man in his position would have allegations like that, though. Frank.
Oh, really? How many does Mark Cuban have?
Well, what about
How many did Barack Obama have?
Well, we're going to be getting into Barack Obama and the
Yeah, you
white
said
man
every
that.
single person in his position would have all
So
of those things.
Barack
I named
Obama, my
somebody that
friend,
was
really
richer
doesn't go
and someone
after
who was
women.
president.
He doesn't go after women. He has very weird,
He
corny,
doesn't go after
awkward
women
white
because he's
men
married and
that
happy.
meet
You know,
up with
Donald
him
Trump was
in
married during all those
limousines.
times too. You mean he actually just, he actually just stayed faithful to his wife instead of Donald Trump, who was cheating on his?
No, he was with Michelle. Listen, I don't know what is going on with
Donald
I'm
Trump
not
cheated
gonna,
on
I
his
won't
first
sit
wife
there
with
and
his
talk
second
about
wife, his
Michelle. I can
second
only
wife with the
talk
third
about
wife.
the act in which there's been known that there's
Donald Trump cheated on his
when he
first
was a
wife with his
senator,
second wife, second wife with his third wife with a porn star. Okay? Donald Trump had plenty of times to be faithful. He didn't. Barack Obama had a wife and just didn't cheat on her all the time. Okay? And that's the difference. Okay?
I
But
mean,
Barack Obama,
as a senator has literally been documented, and I would like to say proven, even though truthfully this is not anything that, unless you were going to take this into a court of law, I know you can't say it's been proven, but truthfully, it's been documented by quite a few witnesses, the limousine driver, the individual in the act, and the people at the
Donald
bar.
Trump was adjudicated in court of sexual assault and has paid off over 27 women to keep quiet about allegations of sexual assault. Please stop comparing what Donald Trump is doing and acting like it's normal or locker room talk. It is not. No. Stop talking. I let you talk, sir. I let you talk for so long, and I am trying to respond. Please let me respond. Okay, I let you talk for so long. I had to start taking notes because of all the things that you said. I had to start taking notes, so I had things to respond to. Okay, please let me respond to them. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for anything weird. I'm just asking to respond. Okay, thank you. What I'm saying is Donald Trump, like you're saying everybody in that position would be in that same and would be the same thing as him. No, they're not. There are people richer, more powerful, more freaking politically influential throughout their history who have been in politics for longer, and none of them have the number of sexual assault allegations that he does. They don't have the number of payoffs that he has. They don't have the amount of adjudications in power that they have, right? Like, and I'll give you an example, right? I'll give you an example. I think Eric Swalwell is a great person to bring up right now. Right? Because Eric Swalwell was a senator. The second he tried to run for governor, a bunch of women were like, nope, that dude's a fucking piece of shit. And then everybody, all the Democrats that were in power said, that dude has to leave. That dude has to leave right fucking now. And he went into investigation. That's what fucking happened. The only difference is when Democrats did it, Democrats kicked him out and he's off fucking isolated doing whatever the fuck he's fucking doing. I hope fucking having a really miserable life. And y'all and Republicans elect him as president. That's the difference. But when you talk about putting women in power, that's a joke because he just uses women as scapegoats. Who are the only two women in this term the only two people to be fired in Donald Trump's term this year
are women.
Even though every single person has been fucking up, right? Oh, sorry, if you want to go with three, there's actually a third one. I think it was what was that? I forget her name, but. You had Pam Bondi, you had Kristi Noem, and the alcoholic chick. I don't remember her name, whatever her name was. Was she like transportation secretary or something? I don't even fucking remember. She was like not important to me. Labor secretary. There you go. But anyways, they're all women, right? He scapegoats women to just be like, oh, if men fuck up in his life, that's okay. Men are allowed to fuck up. Men are allowed to screw up. Men are allowed to fucking be Kash Patel in our government, right? But the second a woman does anything, or he can just stick it on a woman, he does that, right? He called an actual reporter Miss Piggy because she was talking to him, right? Like, and just completely fucking Sarah. So don't give me this poor women in power. He likes women that he can control, and that's it. And don't give me the not perfect thing either. I hate that because it's like, yeah, nobody's perfect, right? But we're not going to compare, right, a 5-year-old who's not perfect for stealing a Snickers bar and compare that to somebody who's adjudicated of sexual assault or has 34 felonies.
Or even a young adult who has made vulgar
or an
comments
old
in a
adult,
locker room.
right? I don't know of any 80-year-olds that I know personally
Well, I'm 40
that
and
have
I wouldn't teach my
close
son
to done any of the horrible things that Donald Trump has done. Not even in the ballpark, right?
You bring up a very listen. as a supporter, and I don't care what any supporter says, we block out a lot. Okay, we do. You have to. You can't have a goal that you want to be completed in hopes that it will. If you look at the man for every horrible act he did, just like Obama, there was a lot of things said about him with his damn birth certificate and everything else, and then the gay comments, and then Michelle being a man, and all of which I didn't support. I said, listen, we're not going to take this in. This is all name calling. This is going to take it down a notch. You want to debate the man on policy. You want to debate him on everything. That's one thing. You just don't do it like that. But I do tend to try to lead towards more of his more prominent things that he's done in his past, with subjectively closing off the things that he's done horribly. And yeah, justifying them in a way of saying that, hey, we all have done bad things is not right.
Yeah, that's just
a cop-out.
selective morals.
It's a cop-out.
That's all it is.
It's a cop-out.
But I've been on the phone with you for like almost 35 minutes, so I'm gonna move on to the next caller. But I hope you have a good one. Okay.
You too, Polly.
All right, bye. All right, y'all. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back, and we're gonna move on to the next caller. We do have some people in the guest request box, so 1 second, please. All right, sorry about that, y'all. Thank you guys so much. If you still support Trump, you guys can call in and we can have a conversation. I really, really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Big T, thank you so much for the money gun. TB also, thank you so much. Willie, one more money gun to complete that thing off. I really appreciate you guys. Also, if you'd like support, I do have super chats, super stickers, pay links in the bio. I love to talk about super chats in between calls. I've had 2 in an hour and 40 minutes, which is actually kind of surprising and a little bit abnormal, but that's okay. But yeah, if you guys would like to support, I do really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I also have pay links in the bio, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. They're all at PolyPolitics. Hey, I know things are getting expensive out there. People are hurting. I'll tell you that much. So, but we're gonna keep this thing going. Move on to the next person. I know Ari's super proud of that thing. Thank you so much. Whoever just cleared that thing out. I really, really appreciate you. You can get a hold of me and have a conversation with me by calling in the number on my screen or join the guest request box. So, and we're getting real close to 200,000 likes. That must have been a real bad conversation because Matt did send me a super chat. Thank you so much for $2. Said that was a good conversation. So it must be a really bad conversation if Matt's saying it's good. If Matt's saying it's good, we must be having some issues. That must have been a bad one. Oh, Imani, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I felt long. It was like 35 minutes. Wasn't that bad. Wasn't that bad. Oh, I thought I'd brought someone up. I guess not. It felt like longer than 35 minutes. It did feel a little long. Okay, I will say that. I'm not gonna lie. It did feel a little bit long. I'm not gonna lie. It did feel a little bit long, but we went, you know, we went through a few little rabbit holes over there, okay? we had to do a few deep dives into like some certain places, okay? Yeah, I'll be honest with you guys. I've had a rough like last week. Like things aren't going the way I want them to go. So I figured I was gonna come up here and just kind of hang out. I was gonna be a little calmer tonight, and I kind of set my mind to that because it was a really rough last week, and I'm I'm not I'm not real happy with it, and but that's okay. You know, I needed to get back to the basics, man. I need to get back to the basics and just have some conversations. That's what I really needed. I need to get back to the basics and have some conversations. So that's what I'm trying to do. Nah, it's all good. I wasn't gonna come on today, but honestly, I needed the reps. I need to have a good conversation, you know. Hello, how are you? That sounded like I was in the middle of a video game. Sound like I was in the middle of a video game. Yeah, I just needed some more reps. Thank you, Tati. I appreciate that. Oh, that's actually a really cool one. Oh, that's actually really cute. I should have done more of those. Those little drum hamsters are cool. I like those. No, it's not a matter of not going good. I just been having a rough last couple weeks, man. It's all good though. It happens. All I'm saying is I'm trying to stay a little bit calmer, try to have some better conversations for a bit. Is that fair? I think that's what I actually needed. That's fair, right? I think we can get down with that, you know? Yeah, things turn around. Things turn around. Things turn around. They always do. They always do. And we got some callers calling in right now. So we're about to get to y'all. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really, really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. If you guys like to support the live, again, super chats, super stickers, pay links in the bio, memberships, all of those things are just super helpful to helping keep the live go on. The live gift goals, super fans, all those things are just super, 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 super important. Marion says, I skip Dean to listen to your lives. I appreciate that. I also skip Dean for my lives. I actually don't really listen to him that much. I'll be honest with you. I really don't even listen to him that much, to be completely honest with you. So, but, yeah. Maybe, exactly. That's what I need. I need a tapping machine like Ari. You know? That's what I really need. And you know, she bought that and didn't even buy me one? How rude is that, right? Like, how rude is that? Yeah, she didn't even get me one. All right. Well, we got... Does anybody... I'm going to go to Nashville soon. Does anybody know a good tattoo artist in Nashville? Also, if you're in Nashville and you want to do like a meet and greet type thing, let me know. Let me know. But if anybody knows a good tattoo artist, Tannen said another tattoo I was uneven. I got BD1 from Jedi Fallen Order. Well, you guys send in the Discord, man. You gotta. She bought you. Wow, she bought you one, Matt, and didn't buy me one. Wow. Why is that? Or he's cheating on me over there. Thank you so much, Tatted. No, for real though, I need a good tattoo artist in Nashville. I want to get when I'm there next. And AWT, thank you so much for the super chat also. I really appreciate that. And Loki, thank you so much for the marshmallow. All right, looks like we have Chris on the line. Hello, Chris. How are you?
Hey, brother. How's it going?
It's going good. You're from Illinois. What part? You don't need to tell me that. You're from Illinois, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. And you just don't like progressives. Why do you hate us so bad?
Well, no, I mean, I want to start off by saying that I've listened to your show, and sometimes I like wanted to punch the wall, but other times like I'm kind of vibing with what you say, and you're a guy, I can say this, that I disagree with on a lot of topics, but I love the fact that you bring receipts, and I love that you're intelligent, and I love that a lot of times with you it's not about feelings. Like I listen to a lot of these shows, and you will tell me like you've probably dissuaded me on a few things and made me think about stuff because you would bring receipts and not just a bunch of emotions and a bunch of rhetoric. Like, and I appreciate that. I think that's important with political discourse, is that we do shit like that. And I didn't call it to hand job you, but I mean, I wanted to point that out, that, you know, even though you can't agree, like you're a guy that I can listen to and be like, number one, this dude's smart. I dig that. Number two, he's actually given me stuff. Some stuff I've looked at and been like, other stuff I've looked at and been like, you know what, man, dude has a point. And I dig that. And that's why I called in. I actually wanted to basically talk to a progressive about being part of, I guess I am Gen X, and basically how like the boomers are the and tell me if I get a little bit too cursy, but the boomers are like the fucking worst. They have shit on the conservative movement. I think Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z have basically been the meat and potatoes of the conservative movement, whereas, and you know, our age group, and I'm assuming you fit in that 30s to 40s range, are you know, that political movement of us. We are the next big voting block. I mean, you know, boomers have fucking ruined everything for the right. Like I am so over, as a conservative, I'm so over fucking Trump. I'm over his bullshit lies. I was a guy, dude, and this is embarrassing, but I gotta be raw and just tell the truth. Like I was fucking sold on America first. I was sold on doing what's best for us. I'm tired of getting taken advantage of. I mean, hook, line, and fucking sinker, because I'm in that great age group where, you know, I've been a working dude, a blue collar guy my whole life, and trying to take care of a family. And now that I'm getting a little older, I'm paying more attention to shit. And I'm not highly educated as far as, I've been to trade school and different things. I'm not highly educated as far as having like a college degree or anything, but I'm also pretty street smart. I'm not dumb. I know how to articulate myself. I know how to write a sentence without using a bunch of, you know, improper English. But at the end of the day, I think we were sold, us conservatives were sold a bag of fucking lies. I absolutely loathe this dude at this point. I got so sick. And part of the appeal for conservatives, I will tell you, is the incessant orange man bad from the left that was just like, you know what, you make me want to fucking root for this guy. And just follow me here, down the path that I went. Watching these liberals or progressives that would get on TV with the sense of authority, the sense of superiority, and how a blue collar guy isn't shit, and just feeling so disenfranchised by the left in so many ways. Anytime you debate, it's always coming from a place of authority. Are you a biologist? Are you this? Are you that? It's like coming from a place of authority in a lot of things. You're not going to reach people, and just feeling kind of disenfranchised really pushed me to the right. And I'll tell you that I think the shit that happened to Bernie Sanders really opened my eyes and kind of pushed me to the right as well. But that's neither here nor there. The thing with Trump, and I'll quit being so longy and lengthy, is, you know, this fucking guy rolled on a platform of stomping out illegal immigration, about getting murderers and rapists and shit off the streets. Then the fucking bullshit with ICE and how everything happened. And I do understand that agitators came out. I do understand that in some positions ICE was put in bad positions, but ICE completely fucking overreached like police do. I mean, my generation and below were sick of our Fourth Amendment being shit on. You watch videos every single day of this police state in America, and these fucking right-wing people conservatives who I identify with, will just deep throat the boots of any fucking policing agency without holding them accountable. It pisses me off. Like, they're fucking losing me, man. Like, I'm over it. I'm tired of it. Like, I'm, you know, the bullshit of of ICE and the shit that they've done to people, throwing fucking brown people into cages because they look fucking brown, where 70-some% aren't even fucking criminals. Like, it fires me the fuck up because, yeah, I'm a white dude, but I have biracial kids. And, you know, what's going to happen to my kids? What about kids with autism? What about somebody with autism that might have brown skin? What happens to them? You know, when fucking ICE comes up to them, are they going to shoot them like cops do? Like, I'm so sick of this police state. I'm so sick of the bullshit lies from the right. I can't really identify with progressives in the left. I feel like we are really people in my group in Generation X and Generation Y that are conservative leaning are really just, we don't have a fucking space. Like, we have some commonalities with progressivism and we have some commonalities with conservatism, but we are really left in the lurch. Like, there's so many people that think like me. Like, we're tired of the fucking police state. We're tired of the lies. We are okay with getting rid of illegals. Okay, we're fine with it, but you got to do it fucking right, and you got to give people, because if they're denied human rights, then I'm fucking denied human rights. Like, I can't be down saying I'm a constitutionalist or I'm for the Constitution when fucking people, illegal or not, are not protected. The Supreme Court's already ruled, man. Illegals have constitutional rights, not every single one, but they have due process. They have several rights that they're not being given. And if they can take them from them fucking guys, and they're taking them from us, every time you look on a YouTube lackluster or whatever you're looking through and scrolling through, you see that it happens to us on a daily basis, black, white, brown, whoever. It's like, we're a fucking complete police state. Where do I go?
All
and
right,
that's
man.
why I called
Hey, dude,
in.
I'm
So
gonna
sorry, man.
jump in real quick. No, you're good. You're good. I just I have I have like ADHD like a motherfucker, so like I can only
Sorry,
keep up with
brother.
so many things before I fucking like start hyper focusing on some shit. And so that's on me, but that's okay. I want to address a few things that you said. Okay, so I want to address a few things you said. God, I don't even know where to start. All right.
So sorry,
This-
man. I
this
went
gonna
on
take-
a rant, man. I
No,
get
you're
fired
good.
up, dude.
You're good, and that's fine. I appreciate that people get fired up because I get fired up about this shit right now. Shit too. Honestly, sometimes I get so fired up that sometimes I feel like I need to calm my ass down a little bit because I get a little too fired up. So I understand that. So here's a few things I'm going to address. Right. ICE was 100% predictable. Right. What ICE is doing, where it's in violation of the Constitution, where it's acting like a secret police state, where it's acting like Trump's Gestapo, was completely predictable. And the reason is because Donald Trump tried to use the military like that, the active duty military like that in his first term, and he was stopped by people like General Milley, right? And he was stopped from doing that exact thing. He wanted to put down protesters using the active duty military in his first term, and there's documented proof of that, okay? So,
Yeah.
given Donald Trump the ability to do that exact same thing with his own little secret police thing was predictable, and so seeing it happen shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that either voted for him or didn't vote for him, unless you didn't understand what was going on. And then I completely understand because you weren't paying attention. But it's a time right now to change it, right? Yeah, and that's exactly what it was, right? It's drinking the Kool-Aid, right? 100%. And but I do want to go back to the part where you were talking about like like the left saying, oh, you're not a biologist, oh, you're not, this and that. Yeah, and the left does do that. The reason why the left does that is because there are experts in fields, and it's important to listen to those experts in those fields, right? We have experts. Now, are those experts 100% correct all the time? No, right? Like, I see a lot of people that use COVID as an example for that, right? Where they're like, oh, they told us to do this, they told us to do that, they told us to do X, they told us to do Y, they told us to do Z, and that wasn't right. Well, yeah, because it's science, bro. It's continually moving. We're constantly learning of what's going on. And as things learn, we adjust, right? And so when we go, hey, are you a biologist? Yeah, because we need things that biologists know. Are you an epidemiologist? Yeah, because we need things that epidemiologists know. We need people who have dedicated their entire lives to these certain things. We need them to be able to weigh in. We need their opinion to matter more than what just random fucking people's opinion matters, right? Like we see this with the Middle East right now. Like everyone who's an expert on the Middle East says that this isn't going to cause anything. It's going to just harm us. It's going to put us at best case scenario, the situation we were in before Donald Trump took office. But then people are like, oh, well, Donald Trump knows what he's doing. Why? Why does Donald Trump know what he's doing? Why does anybody assuming that Donald Trump knows what he's doing when he has no military experience, no foreign affairs experience, right? No proven track record of gaining deals with other countries? Why are we assuming that he knows what he's doing just because he says he is? I'll give another example of that, right? RFK Jr. Why are we letting somebody that is not a doctor, that did not study the human body or anything that has to do with any of these things, why are we letting someone like that decide what's right for the health of US citizens? It doesn't make any fucking sense, right? So on the left, yes, we are going to defer to people that are experts in certain situations, right? We are going to refer to those. And when people try to like go away from that, we try to defer from that type of things, we're gonna say, yeah, dude, what are you talking about, right? So like I'll like I said, just another example, right? Like I have a master's degree in international relations, right? Right. That's just what like my specialty is, right? I'm not saying I am the world's expert on international relations. I'm not, because I haven't spent my life, working in those fields or anything like that. That's what my specialty is. That's what I learned on, right? I always defer to people that know a whole lot more than me. But when it comes to things like contagious diseases, I don't know a motherfucking thing, right? I don't know shit, right? So I'm going to defer to epidemiologists. I'm going to refer to doctors. I'm going to refer to people that know what the fuck they're talking about, because I don't have a fucking clue. And I think that that's the biggest problem with the Trump administration is, right? We have a Fox News host who's running the Department of Defense. We have a YouTuber who was a bad public defender running like the FBI. We have someone who ran a wrestling organization who's in charge of education. Right. Like, and these are just like minor, like these are just like little things that I'm talking about, right? Like not little things, but I mean like these are just a minority of things. Like there's so many people who are just completely in unqualified positions that now all of a sudden are running things that are incredibly important. And like, let me give you an example of why that's so important, right? Like there's been like multiple exposés and multiple articles written recently about Kash Patel running the FBI, where his entire concern is like his social media presence, right? What's on Twitter, what's on all of his social media stuff. While simultaneously, because of the Trump administration, because they don't, understand these things, they are diverting people away from things like counterterrorism for immigration services, right? Against cyber crimes for immigration services, right? Because their perception of what is actually important is not really what's important, right? There are people that were literally chasing down cartel members who have now been pulled off of that duty, right? To find undocumented immigrants who are doing no crime. Right. And so that I have a huge issue with. It is, and it goes back to the entire reason why Donald Trump, like a lot of people say Donald Trump was elected to begin with, which I believe you actually said, and I apologize if you didn't, and I don't want to misconstrue anything that you said, right? Where it's like, oh, he wasn't a politician, he was an outsider. Yeah, that's not a good thing to me, right? If someone's coming to be a plumber, if I hire a plumber at my house, I don't want someone who's an outsider. I want someone who knows how to do plumbing, who spent their entire life doing plumbing because they know how to do plumbing. If I hire an electrician to work on my house, I want somebody who knows how to be an electrician, who has spent their life learning how the system works, learning how the wires are supposed to route or how a circuit breaker panel is supposed to work, learning how to make sure I get the most out of my buck for every dollar I spent the electricity company, right? I want someone who spent their entire life doing that because they know how the system works. And that's also important in politics. And I'm not saying that everybody has to be a career politician. I don't believe that. I believe that we need new blood. And I believe that the gerontocracy that exists within the United States is ruining America. What I'm saying is that just having this outside point of view and making that the leader of everything, I don't think is the right call. I think that you need to have some experience in politics before we make you the president, right? Like Obama wasn't a senior senator. He wasn't a geriatric. He wasn't any of those things. And he was a very effective president, right? And I think that those are important things to think about when we're dealing in this type of situation,
How do we bridge the gap between the Gen Z or the Gen Y, the Gen X Like, how do we bridge the gap away from like the boomers that basically have all the money and have all the influence? Because those are the people that have lived a lifetime, worked a lifetime, amassed wealth, and kind of where we're at now and what we're dealing with. Like, how do we bridge the gap, I guess, between the people, like, because I think if progressive, and I'm kind of like pleading to you here, just so progressives can hear this, like, I think if progressives would really understand that you have an entire couple of generations that are, I think the numbers showed, like, really conservative driven, that just have a completely, after this presidency, have a completely just distrust for the right. Like, how can we bridge the gap to have more commonalities of our values and stop this fucking police state that, and I hate to curse like this, but I mean, it just pisses me off. Like, how can we get to, and police state is just one part of it, but how can we come together on some issues, even if we don't agree on all, to actually affect some real fucking change, short of us banding next to each other and just fucking, and I'm not calling for this, but I'm just saying, short of us like going after police, like us getting side by side and saying, you know what, there's more of us than you, motherfucker, let's go. Like, because I'm sick of this police state. I can't, I work for an org. I'm not going to say where I work because it's just not going to be good if I do. But I work for an organization that is heavily left, okay, heavily left, and in my area, policing is a problem. Like, I'm driving around in a vehicle that is identified as a governmental vehicle. And I'm getting pulled over at 1 o'clock in the morning to go do my job. Like, have you had anything to drink? Well, could you mind if we search your truck? I'm like, I'm in my fucking 40s, man. I got a family. I don't drink. I haven't drank in 5 years, and that was at a best friend's wedding. Like, fuck you. Why are you even pulling me over? It's just, and that's just inflated by, I'm just not a bootlicker, and the right are just, these boomers are complete. Like, ICE can literally do no wrong, police can literally do no wrong, shoot a fucking lady in her face. Whether I agreed with how she handled herself, I think she put herself in harm's way. Like, I know police, dude. I'm not charging police unless I'm going to be ready to do some harm to them, because they ain't got no problem shooting you and killing you. Like, how, I guess, and I'm being circular now, but how do we come together and bridge the gap in ideology and defer to what we agree on and do something that actually creates some fucking change, instead of being, I listen to some of the callers that call in here and I'm like, I'm a fucking shame to even say that I'm a conservative with you, because you're a fucking moron. Like, what? Like, how do we even bridge this gap instead of, I like ICE, I think ICE. Like, how the fuck can you be a human being regardless if you're, and again, I'm going on a tangent, whether you're right or left? How can you look at what ICE does to people and deny their due process and be fucking okay? Be consistent. Quit the party line bullshit. Like, be a fucking man. And I say this to men, I don't mean to be sexist. Be a fucking man. Stand for something. If you stand for nothing, you are nothing. You ain't about shit. Like, stand for something. If you say you believe in Constitution, and I hear that so much from the right, and out of the right side of their mouth, I love the Constitution, I'm a constitutionalist, and the left, blah, 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 blah. But then you will stay silent with your thumb in your mouth or up your ass while you watch a president who's completely fucking inept. And in my mind, when you talk about dementia, I think the dude's losing it. He's like power lust hungry. Going to a war without Congress under bullshit guises, putting a fucking.
All right, bro, hold on.
Gestapo
I gotta head you off the path, bro. You're about to move on to an entirely different conversation.
Sorry.
Yeah,
But like, how do we get together? How do we get
Yeah.
together?
You talked
to
about the
effectuate
progressive
change?
thing, and I want to address that before we freaking move on to it. Like, because you were about to
Sorry,
go into
bro.
an entire. Hey, it's all good, man. But that's my job to
Just
cut
passion.
you off. I have to. All right. So the problem is, and here's the problem with like the whole come together argument, and I have an issue with it, right? Like, I really do. All right, because what we consider progressive in the United States right now, is like barely north of like center left in most industrialized or most what we call wealthy countries in the world, right? Like, the progressive thing that people like, progressives want universal health care. Progressive want a raise of the minimum wage, right? They want the stopping of people being able to buy up single family homes to like, to artificially raise the cost of homes, right? The things that progressives want in this country, everybody wants, right? All it is messaging on that and stopping people from saying that what the progressives want is anything other than that. What progressives want, everybody wants. Nobody wants in the United States for anybody in this country to go into forever debt because of a car accident. Nobody wants that. Zero people in this country want that, right? Nobody wants the fact that we pay insurance companies, then we pay co-pays, then our tax dollars go to subsidize those insurance companies and those hospitals for us to pay more than any industrialized nation on medical care. Nobody wants that, right? And the things that progressives are saying is literally at this point, and I'm not saying that won't like progress throughout time, right? The literal thing that progressives are saying right now is let's catch up to every fucking industrialized or every wealthy nation on this planet. And I don't think that that's like something that the progressives need to move on. I don't think that that's something that people need to come together on. I don't think that that's something that's like, oh, well, like how can we come together with conservatives? I don't think progressives need to. I think conservatives need to realize that the actual things that conservatives used to care about, the actual things that conservatives actually really want, fit actually very, 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 very well into what progressives actually want, right? Like I don't think there's a change in there, right? The problem is that what the Republican Party has done and what people like Christian nationalists, what white nationalists have done in the United States, what fascists have done in the United States, right? They have convinced conservatives, they have convinced Republicans that what Democrats want is what communists are, right? They've convinced everybody that what progressives actually want isn't actually what progressives want. Like, and I like to give this example all the time, is that Donald Trump spent $215 million more he spent on anything else in his campaign to advertise a singular comment that Kamala Harris made about trans people that had everything to do with a law that existed the entire time Trump was president the first time, right? It had nothing to do with what progressives like actually believe. It had nothing to do with policy. It had nothing to do with like how we get the United States to a better spot. It had everything to do with convincing you that everyone on the left is trying to believe something that you don't believe in, right? Because if you actually stand toe to toe, progressives with MAGA, progressives with conservatives, hell, you want to put it progressives with liberals. You want to stand toe-to-toe in those fucking topics all day, I guarantee you that progressives will beat every single fucking one of them, because all progressives are asking for is basic humanity. And I don't think that that's bad. So to get back to your like main question of like how do we meet in the middle? We don't. We just understand that we're not in a good place. We're not in a good place as far as our debt. We're not in a good place as far as our healthcare. We're not in a good place as far as how we treat immigrants. We're not in a good place in how we deal with, like foreign affairs. We're like 26th in education, right? We're not in a good place on that. We're not in a good place. And all progressives are asking is let's progress past that. And I don't think there's anything that needs to come together with that.
I think like you hit the nail on the head, and it kind of opened my mind as soon as you said like the messaging, because just to give you an idea, a guy like myself, when I hear progressives, you're absolutely right. Like the first thing I think of is communism, whether that's good or bad. I mean, that's just what I've been conditioned to think. And I also, one of the big things that sticks with me with progressives is I don't want to get rid of the electoral college. I don't want mob rule. I want more parties. I would love to see either a faction of the Republicans or it seems like the progressive movement is grown within the Democrat Party, but there's still those like big wigs that just hold on to power, like the people that have been there for years, and they're going to die off. And I'm not saying I want them to die, but they're going to die off. And I would love to see like somebody, whether it be progressives or more centered, like JFK / common sense, like socially liberal, economically conservative, like middle people break off and cause their own party. So because I think it would gain so many people like myself. It's just so hard because like people like myself, like we feel like we don't have a home, like we've been completely shit on and lied to by the Republicans. And I think a lot of Republicans are catching bait and getting away from Trump. I think all the people that were kissing his feet are, because of the quote unquote MAGA movement, are starting to disassociate themselves from him and a lot of shit that he's doing. And I see that. And I don't think his rule in who he supports or not is going to make as big of a difference in the midterms, but as it did in the past. When he backed somebody, if he didn't back you, like it hurt you as a conservative. I don't think that that's going to be as prevalent anymore. I would almost like to see the progressives like do a better job of messaging and saying, look, we're not communists. This is what we agree in. This, like, and break off and tell the Democrat Party like fuck you, or the middle conservative guys tell the Republican Party fuck you. We're done with you. We're off on our own, and we're gonna build a coalition, a grassroots campaign, or whatever it be. We're gonna build a coalition that's not a bullshit, feel good Tea Party lie, but that was all propagated by special interests, but actually for the people, by the people. We can come together and open more doors for people, because a guy like me is just like, I don't have a freaking home, man. And there's so many people.
You
I'm
do though,
telling you
like, sorry, again, I don't mean to cut you off again, but like, dude, like, you can't just be like, oh, progressives aren't gonna come out and be like, oh, we're not communists. Like, what are you talking about? Like, they're not communists. Why do they come out and say they're not communists? The only people saying they're communists are Fox News and like the Republicans. Like, maybe instead of doing that, like, instead of progressives having to come out and say we're not communists, maybe you should just actually listen to progressives and hear their policies, and then you hear how not communist they are. Doesn't that make a lot more sense, right? Like,
the problem with that though, brother, is like I've become disenfranchised, therefore I'm seeking more information. But I'll tell you, the problem is you get soaked in as a person in America in the echo chamber. And I've been, for years, man, I was like the hardest right guy. Like, I thought that I was stood for good, that I cared about the military, I was patriotic. And then, of course, this bullshit that's gone on has just completely woke me up to bullshit and lies. But I think you get soaked in as a person in the echo chamber. Like, there are people that literally in my line of work that are disenfranchised, but there are also people that are on the right that I know that are definitely in my age group and actually a little older, that are just so ingrained in that echo chamber. Anything you flip through, like, I can't believe I found your page, because 99% of the shit that I see is all conservative stuff. And all I hear all day long as I'm working and listening to YouTube and looking up videos and playing reels is just more conservative bullshit. And it took me to go out to actually change my algorithm and look up different things and start Googling shit for me to start even getting YouTube to start showing me different stuff. Does that make sense to you?
yeah, the algorithm 100% has like a huge effect on how people believe, but it's also it's also important. Like, I'll tell you this, and I got to get off the phone because I got to move on to the next person, because I do have other people waiting.
Brother.
But I will say this, like, and like, so I have a MAGA account that you guys have never seen before. It doesn't exist to you guys, but I do have a MAGA account that I have set to the algorithm of MAGA in order for me to find like MAGA videos and all sorts of stuff. In 2 days of setting that account, I got to we shouldn't have black people in grocery stores. Like that in 2 days of me clicking on Republican things, on just conservative and Republican things, and liking conservative and Republican things, that's where my algorithm got to. And I was like, oh my fucking God. Like it literally, like, like, literally, like, within 2 days, somebody was like, I went to the grocery store and I'm tired of seeing all these black people here. I'm not joking. 2 days.
Yeah,
and I only clicked on maybe 40, 50 videos. That's it. And like, that's how quick it got you there. So be careful of what you guys like watch on your algorithms, because it's scary. It's really, really, really scary. But I hope you have a good one, man. I'm gonna go move to the next call, but I hope you have a good one, all right?
Thank you, brother.
All right, bye. All right, y'all. Make sure you guys hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I really, really appreciate you guys. I do have a few people that have been waiting, so I definitely want to move on to another caller. If you guys would like to support the live, I do have super chats, I have super stickers, I have pay links in the bio, I have all of those things, and I have the little hamster drummers too. So if you guys like support, it really really does mean a lot to me. So thank you guys, I really appreciate that. Iris, thank you so much for the GOAT trophy. I really appreciate that. E-Money, thank you so much for the 100. I really appreciate that. And Truth is Key, thank you so much for the $100 super chat. Holy shit. Thank you so much. I need to move that up. Thank you so much for the $100 super chat. Said, hey, Matthew, just like your comments, your donations are weak. Polly, thank you all for it. Appreciate you. I had to throw it up there because he just Truth is Key just said Matthew, which is a caller I had like 2 callers ago. He said, Matthew, you a broke bitch. That's what he just said. That's what he just told him. Huge W's in the chat for Truth is Key. Thank you so much for that huge super chat. I really appreciate that. Really means a lot. Thank you so much. I don't see enough W's in the chat right now. So W's in the chat for Truth the Key for the $100 super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. Sorry, Truth. I just didn't see enough quickly enough, and that actually I was like, what? It's like, holy shit, dude! It's $100 fucking super chat. Oh my goodness. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Again, I want to see, I do have to see, I set the hamster drummers at 3 because I just wanted to see how, because they're super cute. All right, that's it. So we got to see a couple more hamster drummers over here because they're super adorable. Also, Miguel, thank you so much for the trophy cake too. Isn't that super cool? Tell me that's not super cool. Thank you so much, Big T. Tell me that's not super cool. That is super cute. Hello, how are you?
Hey, how's it going, buddy?
It's going great. So we got Anthony, 32 from New York. And do you still support Trump?
I do. I wanted a call to engage in the prompt that you have up there.
Awesome. How would you like to engage in the prompt?
So I would say the reason why I still support Trump, and let me ask you if you agree with this real quick. With Kamala Harris, do you agree that there would have been more abortions than in the Trump presidency?
No, I don't think the president would have had much of an effect on that.
As far as like Trump going and repealing Roe versus Wade and all that
Trump
stuff,
didn't
I
appeal
believe,
Roe versus Wade. And it's not appeal, it's repeal, but yeah.
but so I believe that with the Trump presidency that there would have been less abortions than Kamala Harris, and
You do realize
might
that
well
after the appeal of Roe versus Wade, there have been more abortions. Right? The rate of abortion has increased since then, right?
I'm sorry, repeat that.
The rate of abortion in the United States, the amount of abortions that have happened since Roe v. Wade, it actually increased.
It's left up to the states now, though.
Regardless of
So
whether it's up to the states, it increased, right? So you said you think under Kamala Harris there would have been more, and I'm saying that
yeah,
due to the overturning of Roe versus Wade, there was actually more abortion. So if you want to credit Donald Trump for the overturning of Roe versus Wade, then you're accrediting him for more abortions.
can you explain to me how the overturning of Roe versus Wade would have increased the abortions?
Oh, the exact reason why it happened, I don't know actually all of the complexities behind that, to be completely honest with you, but I do know the data, and the data says that it definitely happened.
Where are you getting this data from?
Oh, everyone. Yeah. I mean, I can pull up like 4, 5, 6 to 12 sources if you really need me to.
Yeah, let's
Like
go through it.
literally like no one is arguing it.
Okay, let's go through it.
Well, we don't need to go through it. If I pull up a few that say that, then what's your argument towards it?
What's my What, you pull up something that says that because Roe versus Wade was repealed that now there's more abortions.
Well, I'm just saying there is. I mean, that's
I don't think that logically follows. I mean, if it's left up to the states, unless states have,
yeah. So this is a really good one, right? Like this is KFF, right? And which is the Kaiser Family Foundation, right? And they have a great article right here. In 3 years since the Supreme Court ruling overturned Roe versus Wade, the total number of abortions nationally has slightly increased. The most recent data from the Society of Family Planning project shows that the average monthly abortion volume during the first half of 2025 was higher than the monthly average from 2024. From January to June of 2025, there have been more than 590,000 abortions compared to 1.14 million abortions in all of 2024 and 1.06 abortions in all of 2023. Yeah.
Okay. So would you agree with me that Trump did something to stop some of the abortions that were happening? So let's say I'll grant it that like there are more abortions happening in the United States now. My argument is that there would have been more abortions than that with Kamala Harris.
So just to be clear, when was Roe versus Wade overturned?
I have no idea.
2022.
Okay.
So Trump was president. Then Biden was president with Kamala Harris, as vice president. And then Roe versus Wade was overturned, right? And then it increased, right? While Joe Biden was president and Kamala Harris was vice president. And then Trump came in and it continued to increase. So maybe like the president doesn't have much of an effect on that.
Well, I think the overturning of Roe versus Wade definitely had an effect on it. There could be, let's just grant it that there is more abortions. I mean, there would have been even more if that process didn't take.
That doesn't even make sense.
That law.
We saw the rate increase after Roe versus Wade. Like you're saying, there was a certain amount, then Roe versus Wade was overturned, then there was a certain amount more. Okay, so you can't make under what like thought process, what idea are you saying that
if
literally the overturning of Roe versus Wade had like if it hadn't been overturned, there would have been even more? That doesn't make any sense. Under what, like at this point, like what data set are you working on, or what metric are you working on to show any of what you're saying?
Well, it's just simple like logical argumentation. So like if I was trying to get an abortion in Kansas, let's say, and Kamala Harris was president, and Roe versus Wade was still a thing, I would still be able to get an abortion in Kansas. And Roe versus Wade comes in, and let's say it's left up to the states. Now Kansas doesn't offer abortion, you go to jail. So I don't understand how pre-Roe versus Wade, where a state was absolutely able to have as many abortions as they can, and then Roe versus Wade comes in, leaves up the states, they say no. Like some of the other states, like let's say New York, Georgia, also, how would that make the amount of abortions go up?
Well, it's actually really funny that you're using a logical argument against me when you didn't know that the rate of abortion had gone up, nor did you know when Roe versus Wade was overturned. So you didn't know, hold on, sir. You didn't know what the effect of Roe versus Wade was, and you didn't know when it was overturned. So it's crazy that you're saying, oh, because of logic that X and Y and Z happened, right? Well, yeah, we don't need to, sir. We don't need to use logic in this argument. We have data sets. Okay, that's all we need. And so I don't know what your argument is. Your argument is that you project that if you had a crystal ball and Kamala Harris might have been had become president, which you have no ability of knowing what would have happened, then Roe versus Wade wouldn't have been affected, because even if she'd become president, Roe versus Wade was already overturned, right? And so what you're saying is after Roe versus Wade, it got higher, and under Kamala Harris, it possibly would have gotten even higher, which you have no way of knowing, no way of telling, and no way of proving.
Does Kamala Harris support abortion?
I think the majority of Americans support abortion, so yeah.
So that wasn't my question, though. Does Kamala Harris support abortion?
I don't know how to. Did you not hear my answer?
You said most Americans support abortion.
And then I kept talking, and what did I say after that?
I didn't hear you. No.
Right, because you're not actually listening to what I have to say.
No, I'm listening. I just
No, you're
you know,
not.
it's kind of
Because if you had, you would have heard what I said.
well, repeat it.
Cool. I said, well, the majority of Americans do. So yeah, Kamala Harris does also. Yeah, she does also. So do I. So the majority of women. So the majority of Americans, right? So do people, I'm assuming all the families of the women who have died on, the in hospitals due to abortion laws, or people who had forced C-sections, even though it was detrimental to their health,
Mhm.
due to abortion
So
laws, all those sorts of
you agree?
things. Yeah. So let
You
me ask
agree?
you a
You
question. No,
agree?
no, no. Hold on.
Go,
You've asked me a lot of questions. I think it's my turn to ask a couple questions, if that's okay.
go ahead.
Yeah, cool. So why do you think that you have the right to meddle in women's medical care, and especially since you're not one?
Because I believe morality is objective.
All right, cool. And what's the objective morality?
Objective morality is that we're all morality is grounded in God, and God. I mean, it says it in the Bible. All human life is valuable, and
Where does it say that?
according to the well, I don't, it doesn't say that word for
Well,
word.
you just said
but
in the Bible it says all human life is valuable.
yeah,
Was that like
I'm
in
not,
like? Well, I'm just
I'm not.
like in Exodus where Donald Trump, or in Exodus where God says, orders the Israelites to kill all of the Amalekites, women, children, infants, everyone. Like, was it valuable there?
Wait, was you talking about war?
No, I'm talking about when literally in the Bible, God, commands people to go kill every single man, woman, child, infants, right? I don't know, I mean, especially back then, women didn't have any, any dealings in war, and definitely not children and infants. They weren't going to war. And, he said to kill all of them. So I'm just curious on, was life really precious then?
Yeah, I mean, going to war. I mean, just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you just have to like be a pussy or whatever.
No, that wasn't going to war. He was ordering them to attack a completely different civilization, right? And he was ordering
Mm-hmm.
them to kill children. That's not warfare,
Why?
right? Like even right now, like even like countries that aren't Christian nations, even countries that are like completely against Christian, even they all agree to certain wartime rules and say we don't kill children, right? But God
Yeah,
said to kill children, right? So I'm just curious how precious their life was.
yeah. I mean, like I said, you can go to war with other nations, and it
And kill
isn't
their
against
children.
your morality.
Oh, so morality goes out the door when we go to war? That's a convenient excuse.
No, it works like this. I mean, if somebody is attacking you or doing something that, let's
That
say,
wasn't that
affects your
case.
nation.
That wasn't the case there. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
That wasn't the case in Exodus. No one was attacking the Israelites. So
Yeah, I'm just giving a brief
well,
example.
I don't really need your like hypothetical, to be completely honest with you. I don't need your hypothetical because I've read the Bible. Have you?
Yeah.
Cool. None of what you're saying has an effect on what I'm talking about, right? God
Yeah.
told them to go to a different land that they were not at war at, and to go and murder all men, women, children, infants, everybody.
Yeah, why?
Because God said so.
Because God said so?
Yep, that's all.
Yeah. So can we get back to
No, we're on the
reason why
correct
it's
subject, sir. You said that your objective morality is based in the Bible. I am asking you a biblical question. You told me that the Bible says that all life is precious. I am asking you about a specific instance in the Bible, and I'm asking you if life was really precious in that part, because in my opinion, and like I was a Christian for a very, 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 very long time. I read the Bible cover to cover many, many, many times, right? Christian school my whole life, lots of Sunday school. And, just based off of that, with a whole bunch of other instances that I would love to get to, if you would ever, respond to this, it doesn't seem like God really sees life as that precious, right? Like he orders the murder people like all the time, right? Like he wiped the entire civilization of a planet, with Noah, just Noah and his family, which that leads into some incest stuff. That's really weird, but that's right. He wipes all of their lives. Like, I'm just saying, there's lots of instances in which God doesn't seem to be very, all life is precious. And you said that was in the Bible, and I'm just asking you to justify your stance.
Yeah, I don't know. This is turning into like a biblical argument. That's why I'm not trying to have
Because
with
you said your objective morality was based in the Bible. You said that,
Yeah.
sir. I didn't say that. You understand that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So if you're saying that your objective morality is based in the Bible, then I have to question the objective morality of the Bible, right? Because if you're saying that's what your objective morality is based in, then it's very important to understand the objective morality of the Bible. You see what I'm saying?
No, because then you would question the morality itself. So like, yes, there are times where you can kill people, but that doesn't mean that you're inherently a bad person.
I didn't say anybody was a bad
word.
person. You said that life was precious. You said that according to the Bible, life is precious. That is what I'm arguing. I am arguing that the Bible does not treat life as precious. That is the part I'm arguing.
You're arguing that the Bible says that life isn't precious? I mean,
I'm saying that the Bible does not treat life as precious. Actually, the exact opposite. Where?
if you look at the Ten Commandments.
Where in the Ten Commandments?
Things like thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal.
Thou shalt not kill and thou shalt not steal. Okay, cool. Well, it's really funny that you say that God says do not kill when God orders people to kill. So how do you justify God ordering people to kill while the Ten Commandments also say thou shalt not kill?
Yeah, because there's a difference between killing and murdering. When you're at war.
But the Bible, but the Ten Commandments don't say don't murder. They say don't kill. Yeah. So how do you justify not killing? Okay. With God ordering people not to kill, because what you're saying is, if you're saying that if it's in war, then it's okay, then what you're saying is that your morality is subjective, not objective. It depends on the stance, right? That it only counts under certain circumstances and not under others. So therefore, it is no longer objective, because saying the objective moral stance of thou shalt not kill doesn't mean that there is room for error. Right? There's not room for, if you're at war, if you're at this, if you're at that, or, whatever. It says thou shalt not kill. Not thou shalt not kill if not in war, thou shalt not kill, when it comes to abortion, it said thou shalt not kill, period. Right?
Okay. So let me ask you something. Are you married?
No.
Oh. Did you say no?
Correct. I said no.
All right, let's use myself as an example then. I'm engaged, so
I do not want to marry you.
No, I do not want to marry you either. But listen.
Oh, I thought we were using you as an example.
Well, let me finish my argument here. So, I'm engaged. I got my wife in my house, right? If someone breaks into my house,
I got my wife in my house sounds like you kidnapped her. I'm sorry. I can't help it. I apologize. I'm so sorry. I got my wife in my house definitely sounds like you kidnapped her. I just had to say that.
Do you think it would go against my morality to kill an intruder in my house?
I don't know what goes against your morality.
Well, you're the one who's.
No, you're the one that's saying that your morality is objective and based on the Bible. I don't know what goes against your morality because I believe that morality is subjective. So I don't believe that. So I can't say what goes against your morality.
But didn't you just dispute saying that you can't kill at all in the Ten Commandments?
No. You said, see, this is where you're having some confusion. Okay, you're saying that your morality is objective, and is based on the Bible, right? My morality is subjective. Okay, I believe that everybody has subjective morality. Okay, so you talking about what I see as your morality doesn't make sense. And also, I can't judge the morality of your Bible because I don't believe in it, because I don't believe in your fairy tale. Okay. But
Okay.
if you're going to say that your morality is objective, then we need to balance your objective morality based off the Bible that you said it is based off of. You understand what I'm saying? If you say that your morality is not objective and it's completely subjective, it has nothing to do with God, then we can have a different conversation. But as long as you're saying that your morality is based on the Bible, then we're going to have a conversation about what morality looks like in the Bible.
I agree. But
Perfect.
we're
So
disputing
how do you
kill and murder
justify?
here.
So how do you justify in Numbers 5, right? Called the verse of the bitter waters, very famous verse, right? Where the Bible gives instructions to priests on how to give abortions to women who have been unfaithful.
What is the Bible verse?
Numbers
I'll
5,
pull
that's
it
the
up.
chapter. I believe it starts. Well, sir, I'm just asking you what you think about it. You're the Christian. You never read
Well,
the
here,
Bible
I'll
before?
bring it up and we'll go through it together.
Sir, I've been through it 1,000 times. I'm asking your opinion.
Well, tell me what it is. I'll bring it up. We can go through it
How
together.
do you not know what it is, sir? I'm the atheist. You're the Christian. How do you not know what it is?
There's a lot of verses in the Bible, bud.
Yeah, and I know most of them.
That's great. Well,
It's not
tell me
that
the
big of a
verse
book,
and
dude. I know a whole bunch of words of Harry Potter too. It's a lot
okay.
larger.
Well, it shouldn't be a super hard task for you to just repeat the verse and section.
Well, see, here's
so
the
I can
problem
bring
with
it
that,
up on
sir,
my
and I can
phone
read
and
the
we can go
entire
through it.
verse. It's really not an issue for me. But here's the problem when you read in that verse is that now I'm going to be explaining to you your own Bible to a verse that you've never
Your
heard of, and now
your
you're going to have to
interpretation of it, right?
justify, right?
Mhm.
A Bible verse that you have no background on, you have no context in, you have no idea what Numbers is talking about, you have no idea about the historical text, you have no idea about the historical Greek or Hebrew text in which it was written and what those words mean, right? So you're going to be
Is that
arguing from a place of no knowledge.
is that objectively true?
Which part?
The whole part that you just said that I have no knowledge.
Do you know what it says?
Not unless you give me the passage. I don't even know what
Correct.
passage
Then
you're
your
talking about.
subjective response proves an objective freaking point that I made. Does that make sense?
No, because I don't know what verse you're talking about. You just have to list me the verse.
It's
We can
the
go through it and
one
see what it says.
where God explains to priests how to give an abortion to women who are unfaithful.
Yeah.
In Numbers
Which
5, starting at verse 11 and going to verse 35.
Numbers 5,
Sir,
verse
I truly
11.
have no will to argue a Bible verse against a Christian who doesn't know it. Zero. I'll just move on to the next point. Like, really,
Okay.
it's really sad. Okay. How about in Leviticus, where the Bible assigns only a property value to a fetus while giving a life value to a life? How about that?
Oh, sure. Can you point to me any traditions or histories that agree with your interpretation there?
Traditions or history outside of God's word? Why do I need traditions or histories?
No, so
No, I asked you a
have an
question. Why do
interpretation.
I need traditions or histories when God specifically says, right, that a fetus is a property value to the husband, while a wife is a life value that requires life for a life?
Well, I'll answer that, but just in good faith, I did ask you a question. You answered my question.
I want to know
with
what
the
your question has to do with anything, and then I'll be more than happy to answer it. What does tradition or value have to do with God's word? God is an omnipower, is he not?
Well, just so I know that it's not your interpretation, because you agree
It's
with
not.
me that
I'm just
people can
reading
have
the
multiple
words.
interpretations of the Bible, right? That's why
Yeah,
there's a
but
bunch of
there's
different
but I don't.
denominations. And
Yeah, that's fine. No denomination denies this. Zero. No denomination in the
that-
history of Christianity has denied this.
Denied
Nor have they
what?
denied the interpretation. But again, if you have an omnipowerful God, correct?
Yes, he's outside time and space.
Cool. So therefore, the rules that he makes are therefore outside of tradition and history.
How do we know the rules that he makes?
If the rules that he makes, if he's an omnipowerful God, then the rules that he makes are automatically outside of history and tradition because you just said he's outside of time.
Yeah, well, he gives
Time
you
and
a blueprint
time
of
and
how
tradition
to live.
are, yeah, history and tradition are time values. And if God is outside of time, he doesn't fit within those.
Sure, but he gives you a blueprint of how to live your life, and you find that within the Bible.
Yeah, and in that blueprint, he says that if a woman is unfaithful, she should be able to have an abortion. Actually, that abortion is forced upon her by her husband. It
Now,
also
where are you getting
says
that into?
Numbers 5, right? It also says
Yep.
that if two men are fighting and one of the men causes the fetus to causes the woman to miscarry and the fetus to expel from her body, then therefore it is a property value owed to the father and not a life for a life, because the Bible doesn't consider it as life.
Why don't we pull them up one by one and go through them and make sure that's
Sir,
what they
I've already
actually say?
done that. Why haven't you done this?
Well, I don't agree with your interpretation.
You don't agree with my interpretation on what? You've never read it.
The Bible verses that you just
You
quoted.
can't,
That's
sir,
not what
you
they say.
can't disagree with my interpretation on verses you've never read.
I have read them.
If you had read them, then why aren't you just arguing with them without me pulling them up?
Because I don't agree with your interpretation of them.
If you
That's
didn't
not what
agree
they
with
say.
my interpretation, then you'd be able to argue that without me pulling them up.
The Bible is very big, brother. I don't know every verse off the top
Oh
of my
my
head.
fucking God. Because you don't have an interpretation that you disagree with. You just don't know what your fucking Bible says. And that's
Yeah, we
okay,
could
sir.
just pull it up and
That's
go through
okay,
it.
sir. Most Christians don't. That's totally fine. Okay? It's totally 100% acceptable to just say, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, okay, because I've never read my Bible. If you say that, then we can move forward. How about that? I will pull up the verses and we will have a full Bible study on this topic, like right now. If you just say
Let's
to
do it.
me, I have no idea what my Bible says and I'm trying to justify it.
I don't believe your interpretation is correct, and we can pull
Nope,
up the
nice
passage
try.
and go through
I
it.
have no idea what my Bible says, and I need you to explain it to me. How about that one? I'll make it a little easier for you. I have no idea what my Bible says, and I need you to explain it to me.
Okay. Can you give me any theologians that agree with your interpretation?
Dan McClellan, right off the top of my head.
Dan McClellan. Look him up.
Sir, I
Dan.
don't need you to look them up, okay? I need you to say the words, I don't know what my Bible says. We need to have Bible study with Polly. And I'll do it. But I'm not going to sit here and have this like little back and forth where you just continue to ask me dumb questions to just see if we can get to a point where you understand it, okay? Either tell me you don't understand your Bible and we'll have Bible study with Polly. I have no issue with that, okay? But you have to tell me that you don't understand your Bible first. I need you as a Christian to tell me that an atheist knows more about your Bible than you do, and then we can move forward.
That's your interpretation, right? From the Bible?
No, that is the interpretation of scholars and people that understand the original Greek and Hebrew, which I have studied in
your
depth
interpretation too,
from
right?
all my Nope. I don't go off of my interpretation because I don't understand Greek and Hebrew. Do you?
No.
Oh. Well, it says all the people that understand Greek and Hebrew all have said this is what the original verse means, and in English it makes perfect sense. I don't really have anything to conclude that says it's different, right? The only people that disagree with that interpretation are apologists. Are you an apologist?
No.
Oh, what's that mean?
Apologist is somebody who debates Christian interpretations of various other things.
Incorrect.
What is it then?
It's someone that assumes the conclusion and then uses the Bible to back up their conclusion from there, right? That's what that means, right? So what you're doing right now, it's actually exactly what you're doing right now, right? You're saying that you believe that abortion is against Christianity, right?
Yeah.
And then you don't understand what the Bible has to say about that. But now you want me to look up the Bible verses in order to have you be able to defend what you have to say about abortion to begin with. It has no bearing in what the Bible actually says, what any of the the interpretations actually have anything to do with anything, right? It doesn't matter what the original Greek and Hebrew said. It doesn't matter about the traditions of the time, like you said, or what they thought about abortion. Because let's be completely honest with you, like the abortion topic didn't even become an issue in the United States, right? Most, even the Southern Baptist Church didn't have a stance on abortion until the 70s or 80s, right?
Well, you gave
Even
me
though,
specific
like,
verses.
you know, so
You gave me specific verses with your interpretation saying that abortion is fine. I'd just like to go through them and see if that's true.
sir, you don't know enough to
That's
do
all.
that. That's what I'm saying. Like, and
Well,
with
why don't we go through it and talk
with
about it?
truly no, because sir, like I'll give you an example. Do you know Egyptian hieroglyphics?
I do not. Do you?
Okay, neither do I. So if I was to just quickly read Egyptian hieroglyphics, I wouldn't have like a complete understanding of it, would I?
No.
So
Don't you think
if
that
we were
makes my
having an
point?
argument about Egyptian hieroglyphics and you were a professional in it, and I just pulled them up real quick and I was like, let's have a disagreement because I don't believe what you're saying is true. And we just pulled them up. I really don't have any stance to actually have that conversation with you, do you? Do I?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, that's what you're trying to do to me. You're trying to say, let's quickly look up something that I have zero understanding of, not me, you, that you have zero understanding of, and let's have a conversation about the thing that you've done zero research on and don't understand. Why would I want to do that when I have spent my entire life reading the Bible, studying the Bible, and understanding what it says, and you didn't know these verses existed currently? Why
Okay.
would I want
So
to
your
have that conversation with you, sir?
So your interpretation is
Sir,
correct,
why
right?
would I want to have that conversation with you? Was the question I just asked you.
I don't know. You run a show and you're looking
No, I
for
want to
views or
run a
something?
show where I talk to people that know what the fuck they're talking about, not where I run a show where somebody just happens to want to pull up Bible verse that I just explained to them. So if you'd like to move on, we can move on. That's fine. You don't know your Bible. You're a bad Christian. God hates you. You're probably going to burn in hell. Okay? That's fine. That's totally fine. You don't know your Bible. An atheist knows way more about the Bible than you. You should probably just burn it, like you just commit yourself to burning in hell. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. We can move on. All right? But see, you just can't admit that you don't fucking know what the fuck you're talking about. You don't have any clue what your fucking Bible says. When your Bible supports abortion, it never supports
bargaining.
fetal life. It not
Stop
once supports
bargaining.
fetal life. Actually, the Bible
Calm down.
specifically says, don't try to tone police me or I will fucking become your stepdad, you little bitch.
Just calm
Shut the
down,
fuck up
man.
while I'm talking.
Calm down.
No. Don't try to pull. Look, I understand that little mediocre white men like you don't like when brown people have something to say. Okay? You're a bad Christian. Okay? You're a bad Christian who doesn't know anything about what he's talking about. And instead of just admitting that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, you have to pretend like you have a fucking clue. Just admit that you don't know what you're talking about. We can move on to this conversation. I'm getting bored with you. The entire crowd is getting bored with you. God's been done with you. Okay? He doesn't give a shit about you. All right? So just admit you don't know what you're talking about and we can move on.
Well, let's go through it and see if I do.
Okay, well, I'm not interested in that. So I guess I'm gonna just move on to the next caller, okay?
Fair enough.
I tried like 19 times to get you to move on, okay? I really did. I tried like 19 times to move on for like with the rest of the conversation. Didn't I try really hard, y'all? I tried really hard. I tried like so hard to like, dude, I gave my all. I'm a Christian. My morals are objective. But I don't know any other things my Bible says. We could have moved on to so many things. I had so many things I wanted to talk about. That's the sad part. I had so many things I wanted to talk about. I didn't get to any of them. Isn't that sad? Y'all, if y'all would like support, I do have super chats, super stickers, pay links in the bio. All my Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, they're all at PolyPolitics. Also, thank you guys so much for clearing out. I saw the galaxy. That was Big T, right? Big T, thank you so much for the galaxy. I really, really appreciate that. And everybody who helped clear out the hand heart goals. I don't know what to do. Can I want to do the cat's kneading. I want to do the cat's kneading. I don't know if I can find him or not. I love the cat's kneading though. Ari gets mad at me when I do this one though. If I can find him real quick. Anyways, we're going to move on to the next guest. I really appreciate that. Verillion, thank you so much for the $5. I really appreciate this. Like, Color, if you're engaged and have a wife, then you should, then you're in a relationship with two separate people. How's that family value? Yo, I'm engaged and I have my girlfriend on the side. Okay, that's important. All right, that's important to this conversation. That's pretty much what he was saying. I'm engaged. I got my girl on the side. Okay, we don't talk about them. All right. I can't find them. I'm like, my girlfriend on the side ain't got nothing to do with this. Yeah, it's not gonna last very long. Really knows it. Why are you questioning the morality itself? If questioning the morality itself, if it's objective. It sure sounds like your morality is subjective. Oh, that's crazy. You mean people's morality is subjective? That's wild. Crazy. I literally can't find these damn cats. Crazy how morality is like subjective, and that's not weird. Oh, I found him. I found him. All right, hold on. I found him. I sound like Mickey Mouse. Ha ha. Thank you, Brilliant. Rampage, thank you for the $5 super chat. Said more people have been killed in God's name than any other reason in history. I would say that is the primary source of death in the history of the United States, or history of the world. Sorry, history of the world by a long shot. They're so cute. Thank you so much, Rampage. Miguel, thank you so much to the headliner. I really appreciate that. Matt Chu, the person who's literally debated me, I think 4 times last 4 days, with 5 gifted memberships. W's in the chat for that. I really, really appreciate that. Lovely Goddess, thank you so much to Jar. Said, I'm wondering if Caller is reading Trump's Bible. It is a lot harder there. It is a lot harder. Yeah, it is. It is. You got to get past all the. Got to get past all the gold. It's past all the gold. And whatever. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Say this is a scam. I heard. It is a scam. You've just been duped. Congratulations. You just got duped. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Zoe. I appreciate that too. All right. I'm going to go to... Oh, goodness. I'm pretty sure I talked to Aiden yesterday. I'm gonna go to Sam. It's so adorable. It's the cutest fucking gift. Oh my god. Sorry. I mean, I'm very masculine and stuff, and don't freak out about those things, because man, right? Hello, how are you?
Yeah, hi. First, I want to say thank you for creating an opportunity for public discourse. I think that's foundational to a successful country. So I appreciate giving an opportunity for people to discuss politics. So.
Awesome. You are Sam 21 from Massachusetts. You still support Trump?
I think broadly I support him on a broad issue. There's obviously policies I disagree with, but I mean I'm happy to discuss specific policies.
Sure. Which one do you agree with?
I mean, I think a lot of people are talking about the situation in Iran, and I think there's a lot of ambiguity with that. So I'm wondering what your position is with the whatever war or military conflict, whatever you want to call it, in Iran. I guess we'd call it a war.
It's a war.
Yeah. Okay. My perspective is that I agree that I've heard a lot of people say that the whole weapons of mass destruction thing. I personally don't think they had weapons of mass destruction. My stance was that they were creating an environment, making it so that a country like the United States would not be able to prevent them from developing intercontinental missiles with nuclear weapons.
Yeah, I mean, possibly, but why is that?
Well, I mean, if you look at countries like North Korea, right, we consider them very adversarial. I mean, most people do, but there's really nothing we can do because they have intercontinental missiles that could reach, California, but even Japan, which is like an ally. So it almost, or like Israel, for example, claims they have, or they don't officially claim it, but they have missiles. So we're kind of stuck with countries like Israel or North Korea, where there's not really, there's a ceiling to what we can do from abroad because they have this capability. So I think they realize that if they're able to develop to enrich their uranium, and then also with their partners like Russia and China, create an intercontinental missile, then that creates an environment where they can pretty much do whatever they want and get away with it. But
why are they in that position where they're trying to do all that?
I mean, if you look at like the IRGC and the former leadership and the current leadership, they're fairly religiously driven, which is kind of different than typical adversaries.
No, sorry, I have to stop you there. No, they're not. They're doing that because Donald Trump pulled out of the JCPOA. They were not trying to create hold on, real quick. Tulsi Gabbard said last year in March they weren't trying to build an intercontinental ballistic missile. They weren't trying to build a nuclear weapon. This was all said in March of last year, right? Of 2025, right? Mm-hmm. Then we entered into negotiations with them to make sure that they weren't doing that, right? Even more. Mm-hmm. What happened? We bombed them. Then we entered into negotiations again, where again, they weren't trying to do all of those things, and we started bombing them again. So the only reason that they're trying to do any of these things is because every time they try to make a deal with us, we bomb them to stop them from they're not trying to do those things, and we bomb them. And sorry, Donald Trump bombs them under the Obama administration. We just made a deal with them. So like you're like, oh, it's a good thing that we go to war first because of a reason that Donald Trump created. I don't understand.
Yeah, well, so I can see what you're saying, but I mean, let me just clarify this up front. So do you believe that the Islamic regime, it's literally, I mean, it's called the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and the Islamic regime. Do you believe that some of their decisions are rooted in religious ideology rather than, typical geopolitics?
Of course it is. And why is that?
I think that's because they have an interpretation of the Quran and of Islam that they follow as radically, and that's why they call themselves the Islamic Republic and the
Incorrect.
IRGC.
It's because the United States was afraid of communists, and the CIA did an entire coup in the country in order to install the Islamists instead of the communists.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think you can also say that at the same time that, yeah, I agree. Maybe the CIA under Carter set that up, but at the same time, we can acknowledge that and also acknowledge that the government that the CIA under Carter set up is a religiously driven government. I think we can say that they can both be true at the same time.
Right, but that religiously driven government is also totally okay with making deals in which they denuclearize, in which they don't have intercontinental ballistic missiles. They're cool with all of that because they've shown it. They've done it. They did it under the Obama administration. So the Trump administration going to war to accomplish that same thing just means that Donald Trump is completely ineffective.
Well, I also want to point out, so what is your opinion on this particular conflict, where I hear people talk about forever wars, like $1 trillion spending in like Iraq and Afghanistan. Do you consider those the same sort of scale, like military action as this, where there's no ground troops? We're using missile stocks that expire. So yes, I mean, it obviously is expensive, and the fuel prices have increased. But do you consider this military intervention that's pretty much all from the air to be on the same level as Iraq and Afghanistan, where we had thousands of American casualties versus like obviously any casualties are horrible, but the scale is different here, where these were people who were not even on Iranian soil. They were, at CENTCOM bases in the Middle East. So would you consider these to be those to be equivalent?
No, I actually feel that they're less effective, right? Like there was actually primary objectives in Afghanistan. There was primary objectives in Iraq that weren't achieved. There are no primary objectives here. The primary objectives seem to be, let's attack conventional warfare items that weren't a threat to the United States or to our European allies, and let's blockade oil coming out of Iran. There are no objectives, yet we're spending at the exact same rate. So it's actually less pointless, and that's pretty bad because Iraq and Afghanistan were pretty shitty and pretty pointless, and this is somehow has less of a point.
would you be able to acknowledge that during an active military conflict, especially, with so much money going and so much efforts by both sides going towards intelligence, that trying to minimize the decisions that are being shown to the public, like to civilians, would be wise, like where you have people within the administration that have already leaked various things? Wouldn't you want to limit the number of people, especially even within the military, but then beyond to civilians that have access? Like, I mean, I've heard people say that you never really know what's going on in a military conflict until years after, just because the classification, how everything is so classified, that it's so, especially now where we're on the other side of the world, even people who are like in the Middle East who are just civilians probably don't know that much about what's going on. So I'm just curious where you get that sense that there is no organization, given that it's a military operations, which by nature are inherently classified and limited to the public to protect the soldiers.
Yeah, I'm not looking for classified information. Objectives aren't classified. Like that is what the one second. That is what the Trump administration has like done a good job of doing, is like convincing you that objectives are classified. Objectives are not classified. Right? We want to go into the country. We want to do regime change. That's an objective. That's not classified. Right? We want to go in there. We want to do. Hold on, sir. We want to go in there and destroy conventional weapons. That's not classified. We want to make sure that they can't close the Strait of Hormuz. That's not classified. What's classified is, hey, we are going to go bomb XYZZ. We're going to hit these spots. We're going to do that in pursuit of our objective. That's classified, right? But what they're doing is, all they're saying is, hey, we bombed this thing. That was our objective. Hey, we destroyed this thing. That was our objective, right? This has nothing to do with classified information. It has nothing to do with anything, because honestly, and this is to be completely honest, if what they are telling us the objectives are currently is what they are, then we just lost billions of dollars doing absolutely not a motherfucking thing. And with all due respect, we just spent billions and billions and billions of dollars not doing shit, right? Iran is still going to fund their proxies. We haven't stopped that, right? They're still going to be at the Strait of Hormuz, right? Which we haven't stopped whatsoever. The Ayatollah is still going to be in charge, right? They might give up their nuclear material. Cool. That's exactly what Obama got them to do, without war, without soldiers dying, without billions of dollars being spent. What are we getting here?
Yeah, well, I can definitely see what you're saying. Well, first, I want to comment on the regime change. Obviously, the Trump administration wants regime change, but I think that is a clear objective from Israel. But I think from the perspective of the Trump administration, I think they've actually said that that's not really their top priority. They would obviously be okay with that. But I guess I'm going to go back to what I was saying before about how Iran realized that if they are able to develop nuclear weapons, enrich uranium and nuclear weapons, and then also develop a intercontinental missile that can reach, the United States, that they're completely, immune to a lot of things, just like how North Korea and countries like Israel are immune to a lot of things. So I think it may seem, from the outside, like there's not a lot of, patterns, but I think in the simplest sense, really what the Trump administration is trying to do is just completely limit the power of their military so that they don't create a position where it's like North Korea, where they're completely isolated, where there's really no way to stop them. So if you look at what the Iranian military was doing with their proxies, like in Lebanon, you have the Houthis, that's Yemen, and you have the Hezbollah in Lebanon. So you have these countries and Iran that's sort of creating an environment where a country like Israel or the UAE or Saudi Arabia, that are typically militarily aligned with the United States, couldn't really do anything to stop them. So it may seem like this is not super organized, but really what they're doing is targeting, missile sites, targeting Navy sites. So I don't think the goal, there's like this crazy specific objective as they've said in the past. My personal interpretation is that they're just trying to limit their ability to basically isolate themselves and make them immune to any, because once they create an environment where there's no way where because Iran, if you know the terrain of Iran, it's a big country. So if they're able to create an environment where a military can't, attack them, like we've done in the past, like we did last summer, then they'll be able to get their objectives and even further isolate themselves. And then that'll allow them to, continue to fund their proxies.
You're starting to repeat yourself, man. So let me get you back in spot here, okay?
Yeah, sorry, my bad,
Yeah,
my fault.
you're good.
Yeah,
You're just
so
starting.
yeah,
You're starting to get back. You're starting to roam, right? What
yeah.
have we done to
So
stop them
yeah.
from funding their proxies?
Well, I guess my point is that we've limited their
No,
ability
I understand
to
your
completely
I understand your point
expand.
very clearly. What have we done to stop them from funding their proxies?
I don't think we've done anything particular, but
We haven't
made
done
it so that
we
they
haven't
can't.
done a goddamn thing. We haven't done a goddamn thing. That's the correct answer. We haven't done shit, right? We haven't done anything. Their biggest threat, Iran's biggest threat to the region, was funding their proxies, and we've done nothing to affect that. Zero. The only thing that we've done is like the last, like, I mean, I guess if you want to give credit for the last, like, less than a week, where we've had the naval blockade, which won't last more than, like, there's no way it lasts more than a month, right? Like, that's the only thing we've done to cut off their funding in order to stop them from, from funding their proxies. That's it. Taking out their conventional weapons, all that says is, oh, they weren't going to be able to use their conventional weapons to do what they already weren't doing, right? Oh, they're not going to be a threat to our allies in the region, which they already weren't a threat to. They weren't attacking Saudi Arabia. They weren't attacking Qatar. They weren't attacking Oman. They weren't attacking any of these countries until we attacked them, right? They weren't doing any of those things. They weren't blocking off the Strait of Hormuz until we attacked them. So everything that you're talking about, us being afraid of, us needing to get ahead of, us needing to stop, are all side effects that happened because we attacked them. That's it. They weren't a problem before. And the one fear that we have, the one problem that we have with them, which is their proxies, we've done nothing to affect. We've done nothing. And there's nothing we can do to affect that, right? Besides completely just like isolating Iran, which, if that's the case, if we're trying to completely isolate Iran, then we wouldn't be in negotiations with them, right? Negotiations are saying that we're willing to let you into the fold. We're willing. Like, there's already been reports saying that JD Vance was willing to put out release of sanctions and all that sort of stuff on Iran, right? Oh, cool. We'll release the sanctions. Those are sanctions are released. They get money. They use that to fund their proxies. And honestly, in my evaluation, which again, I'm not saying I'm like the most professional person, but if I was Iran and now my entire military is destroyed, I'm actually a lot more likely to go fund my proxies, because now I don't have the conventional weapons in order to do so. So I'm going to fund what I have, and that is the proxies, right? So again, and that's not, I don't know what's in their head. I'm not saying that, like, that's 100% what they're going to do. I'm just saying that's what I would fucking do, So like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, we have these goals in the United States. We have these goals of what we want or don't want Iran to do. We're not accomplishing those with this war. We're putting American citizens at risk. We're spending a whole bunch of money, and we're not accomplishing what we're supposedly set out to accomplish, right? If we're
I can see what you're saying.
Yeah, and so like,
I guess my perspective though is that like, yes, maybe in the past they haven't been doing that, but if you look at like some of the published intelligence that we've seen, is that they were building up capabilities.
Where?
And yes, they continue to.
Hold on. Where can I find that published intelligence? Because I've read all the published intelligence from the United States, from the DNI, from the Pentagon. None of them says that. So where's that?
Well, they have been building capacity. They have their drones, that they were selling to Russia. This cheap, I forget what they're called. Like
the Shahed drones. I'm familiar with the drones. Okay, but that's a lot different than what you said. Yes, they have a lot of drones.
Can I finish what I was saying?
100%. But if you're going to tell me there was published intelligence on this, I would just like to know where that's at. So while you're talking, I can pull that up, because I haven't read it. So if you're saying there's published intelligence, can you at least guide me in a direction of where I can find it, and then before you continue on, and that way I'll pull it up.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure the specific source. I think I read it from a news outlet. But I mean, it makes sense that they would want to, build military capacity. But I guess my point is, aside from that, is that that they were trying to create an environment, like even with their current, their proxies all around the world, there's still a limit to what they can do. We can apply sanctions, apply military actions. I think what their intention was to get to a point where they would be able to pretty much do anything anywhere in the world that they were capable of without really fearing, military intervention from a country like the United States or one of our allies. So it's easy to say, yeah, in the past they haven't done anything, they haven't attacked, the UAE and stuff. But I guess the argument that I've heard from the Trump administration or from people that I've seen on social media and on news outlets and stuff is that we're trying to reach a point where they would be able to pretty much do anything to anyone, and they've demonstrated that they don't care about civilians. So I think they would be willing to do pretty much anything to get their power. So maybe the thought process was, this is one of our last opportunities to get in, stop them from reaching that point where they're militarily isolated. And then now that we've sort of limited their military, we've taken out their conventional weapons, they're attacking boats in their strait on like tiny speedboats because their navy is pretty much destroyed. So I think that's what I have at least heard. Again, like, I'm a civilian, I'm not 100% sure, but what I've heard is that it was designed not to stop what they had done in the past, but to prevent them from getting to a point where they would be able to bomb, our allies and then not fear military, consequences because they created an environment where they have military equipment. And I also want to add that there's benefits too economically that come from this conflict, where you have, the dollar is actually stronger than it's ever been recently, at least within the past few years. You have tankers coming. Obviously, the tankers are really. Sorry?
That's not true. The dollar's not stronger because of any attack on Iran. That's just simply not true.
Yeah,
that's just evidentially not true, right?
I mean, it makes sense though, because oil is traded in dollars usually. So if the price of oil goes up, countries are going to sell their traditional assets like gold to buy dollars to pay for oil. So the demand for dollars is going to go up, which is going to cause the value of the dollars to go up.
That's just a giant stretch that's not based in reality.
I'm
just saying it's just not a basic. The power of the dollar has consistently gone down through Trump's administration, and it actually took a stronger drop when the Iran war started. So that's not even close to accurate. And you were talking about the boats that are showing up. Cool, the boats are showing up to get nothing. Yeah, there's not oil here. We are already past our refining capability in the United States prior to this war starting. These economic effects are doing two things. They're raising the price of oil, right? Significantly in the United States. Not to mention, and this is just a completely like I don't know if it's like untalked about, but less talked about point, right? Is that, oh, he left. He ran. Shit. I'm going to finish my point. I don't give a shit. If the price of oil is increasing and a whole bunch of countries are coming here to get oil, if we were to sell off all that oil, that would mean that the demand of oil just got higher, which means the price of oil in the United States would get higher, which means that the price of goods in the United States would get higher. It wouldn't be a good thing if there's 100. I know, there's 120 boats coming to get our oil. Then that means that's 120 boats worth of oil that's not here for the United States. That means our oil goes up a lot. A lot. How was that good? Anyways, y'all. I've been live for like 3.5 hours. I'm going to go get off and go do something else. But love you guys. I really appreciate you guys. I'll be back on tomorrow night. I don't know what time. Check my Discord. Look out for schedule. Turn on notifications. I'll be on tomorrow. But I love you guys, all right? I hope you guys have a good one. See you guys tomorrow, okay? Bye.